Hi guys, my name's Faye.
And I'm Josie Endel.
And welcome to another episode of Now That's What I Call a Talk Show.
We have some fantastic guests coming up today. We have
the fantastic and our friend Danny Beard.
We have from season 9 RuPauls Drag Race and America again, the one and only Alexis Michelle.
And then later on at 6 we have Rose of Dawn, a trailblazer.
Yes, and then at 7 o'clock we will be joined by Laura Whittle, who will be doing a makeup transformation.
Yes, going from M to F with a bit of glam. Absolutely. So first of all, guys, how's everyone doing out there? We hope you're doing well. It's really nice to see you all. Well, it's been a busy week.
It has.
It has. And if you are a fan of Coronation Street, Jeff, you're going to get it.
Oh, we cannot stand Jeff. And that storyline, it's just, it riles me a little bit. Like, it is just such a classic example of somebody who is a manipulator and is just lying to this poor woman, to his wife, Yasmin. And he's pretending that she's an alcoholic. That is just not on, that is just not on at all.
It is so bad. It makes me almost feel uncomfortable because it resonates like what I've went through. And I feel people out there who are going through what she is going through. Speak out, speak up, and do not put up with it.
Absolutely. We stand with Yasmin.
Yes, we do. Before we go forward, don't forget, guys, please share our video, subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. And if you're on Instagram, drop us a like.
Yeah. And by all means, like this video, love this video, share this video.
Yes, definitely share this video. We are so excited. We're going to be bringing our guest on soon. Danny Beard will be the first guest. And Lou, we love you too. Thank you so much for the love. Please keep sharing. And don't forget, if you've got any questions for the guests, put them in the comments. We will look back at them and we will get them all answered. So, first of all, we've got an announcement. Woo! We are going to be officially at Drag Fest.
Yes, Drag Fest is on the 13th and the 14th of June, Manchester and London.
That's correct.
We cannot wait. We are so excited for Drag Fest.
We are going to be bringing you all the latest from Drag Fest from our show, but also we've got control of this social media. So you're going to see all the bad stuff, all the good stuff, and all the stuff in between.
And that's just coming from her.
Foot in mouth. But first of all, Josie, what's the tea?
What is the tea? Well, we always have discussions between me and Faye, and a thing that came up, which we keep saying time and time again on Facebook, on social media, is the term dead naming. And
I don't get it.
I don't like the term dead name.
I don't get it.
Dead. It is much nicer to say birth name. I did not die. I'm not dead. I didn't die. I'm exactly the same person. My name changed, but that name is not dead to me at all. What are your thoughts?
Well, my name was Kevin, and Kevin was a pretty okay character. So if anyone has an issue or wants to mention my old name, I don't have a problem with it. And I believe that the fact that people are now getting sensitive over that is preposterous. You guys need to chill the F out. If someone calls you by your old name, most of the time it's accidental. Do you agree?
It can be. It
is literally accidental. And then after that, it's just a case of nastiness. You know what you do? You minus that person. There they go. They're gone out of your life. That's how simple it is.
Easy.
It is literally simple. One solution. Minus them out. From me to you, minus them out. They're not worth it. They're not going to give you an upbeat or make you feel great. They're just not going to do any of those things for you. So just minus them out. After three guys, minus them out. Honestly, guys, it's simple. It's not hard. Do not put up with it. But try to just pull back the sensitivity, because you do not need to worry if someone wants to call you by your old name, your new name, someone else's name.
If that says something about them, it doesn't say anything about you. It's how you react to that. And if you just say, look, that was a name and it has no power, it has no hold on me whatsoever now. So you can call me that. I was called Craig. Do I look like a Craig? Really?
On a Monday morning, there's a slight hint. But don't get too hung up on it. Okay?
No, don't. It's just a name.
It is just a name.
And it's not you now. And it's all about who you are now.
Exactly. What's the tea for me? Well, I am really, really sick of RuPaul getting dragged through the mud. So I get we want visibility, but if you want to just Google anyone from the LGBT, like trans community, we're out there, like you're missing the point. We're here as well, so we are represented. There is many other people represented, and you need to just realize that RuPaul does RuPaul, and as long as he is bringing me an amazing show that I can binge watch daily, which she does, I do, then I don't care. It's okay for me.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that I'm just
letting you speak.
The fact that some of these ladies who have an opinion, I get where they're coming from, and then you've got the ones that are clearly out of work.
Oh my god!
And they're like, "Oh, I'll just like mention this. I'll just mention that." And for me, that's just a bit messy, and it makes you look messy.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're on about, I suppose, representation, and you're not even doing drag anymore.
Exactly.
So you can't, if you were like trying to get work and still doing it, I'd get that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're just like literally at home fully transitioned, you know, it's a hard one to go with.
It is. And the thing is, we spoke about this, I think, on one of our real talks. RuPaul has had trans people in the show at various parts of their transition. And that to me says, wow, RuPaul can represent us in wherever we are on our journey. He says there is a place for us. And trans women can do drag. Trans women do drag. It is a thing. Like, watch Paris is Burning.
Yeah, like watch Paris is Burning. Watch the new Queen movie on Netflix as well, which is like a real old school movie.
Oh, Queen. Oh my god.
Queen.
I didn't know you watched that.
Girl,
oh my god.
Wow, I've been doing my research. Can I get
Crystal Beja. Oh my god.
Watch that and you'll see where it's coming from. And it's a bit shady to call her Hitler. Like, come on.
I mean, of all the things to call. All the things.
But moving on, because it's not all about the tea.
It is not all about the tea.
It is definitely about the new series of RuPaul Drag Race. Who's excited? I'm so excited. And I can't wait. But I will say one thing. A lot of the queens look like carbon copies of other queens.
Yeah,
that is worrying.
From looking, all we've seen really is a photo of them. But looking at a photo, I kind of go, she looks a bit like Trixie, or I've kind of seen that before.
Are we elevating it?
Yeah.
Are we elevating it to the level it needs to be at?
Yeah, but it's in its 12th season now, so that's...
Oh, come on. We can still come up with really good ideas and get more diverse queens out there. And a funny conversation we were having today with the local queen. It's almost like the elevation isn't there. So there's now like a lower standard of drag or whatever you're performing as. And
it's like a saturated version.
Yeah, it's like a saturated version. But also, it ruins it because... then that's the level that people are okay with.
Drag
aim higher.
Drag to me and to a lot of people, it is an art form, and the art. I'm going to sound very arty, yeah, but to me in drag, the art should always be present. It should be at the heart. The art.
I'm not looking at my boobs. I'm just doing socials, but
totally
it's fine. I agree. The art is there, but also we crossed over as well, and we discussed like about the trans community.
Well, yeah, how the trans community kind of fit into that.
Well, yeah, because they do. There's a level of trans that a lot of the society and the community that we know in the world look for. You know, like look like a woman, passable, all these things. But for us also, there's a standard. You don't have to be beautiful. Like, you don't. But at least remember where you are, who you're trying to represent, what you're trying to represent. Don't just walk into this almost with like a dashboard wig on your head, a bit of lipstick, and be like, I'm a princess. Like, it's just not good. And we need to recognize that, because if we lower the standard as trans people, as drag artists, as performers, then the standard is never going to elevate, and we're going to be stuck with the same type of thing, like, continuously. And that's just, I don't feel that's what we want. But Danny's not available right now, but he's coming on soon. So let's bring our first guest on. I'm so excited about this.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. So from RuPaul Drag Race season 9.
joining us live.
Yay, live from somewhere in the world. I don't really care.
somewhere over the water.
Absolutely. Alexis Michelle, I'm so excited. We're just going to bring her on. Hi.
Hello. Hi, dolls.
How are you?
Great. How's it going, loves?
Really, really well. Thank you.
I've just been watching, so I'm caught up on the tea.
Good. We're glad you are. So, welcome to our little world.
Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. You were the first one on my list. I was like, I'm going to get this one.
Yeah.
I'll stalk her now for about 4 days.
Yeah, she was so happy. She is so happy.
I am so happy. But all of our excited viewers are really, really excited to dig into your world. So let's begin. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
Perfect. So first of all, I asked everyone before, but let's ask you. Are you excited for the new season of Drag Race?
Very excited. So the cool thing is that the longer I've sort of been in the scene, when a new crop of girls gets announced each year, I actually know more and more of them on a deep level, whether it's personally from friends and loved ones here in New York or just girls that I've worked with around the country. So I am very tied to some of these New York girls. When I started in New York City, I mean, I've been doing drag 17 years now, but I started.
Transitioned.
I was just thinking that as long as I've been a woman.
As long as we've been a woman, so we've been there.
Yeah, we've been on the journey together.
But also, I really sort of came into the scene in a full-time way here in New York City around the same time as Britta Filter and Jackie Cox. And over the last couple of years, Sherry Pie has been a very close friend of mine. And then, of course, I'm so excited. My drag daughter, my first drag child, Jan Sport, is going to be on the program.
Oh, that is cool.
It is so nice, and I feel, especially with you, that you still have such a great connection with the show and the ethics and the kind of the body of the show, and you're even still supporting the new queens. I think that's lovely.
Yeah, I think as well with RuPaul, the show just seems to grow and grow and grow, and we even have our own version now, RuPaul UK. Did you see any of Drag Race UK?
Oh my gosh, I thought it was the best season of Drag Race in a very long time.
Oh my god, I love that you watched it.
I felt here I'm spilling my tea. Here's my thoughts. I love Drag Race. I love the way it's brought queer artists and drag into people's living rooms. It's exposed new people to drag, and we've also come to love so many legendary queens from the program. But what I do feel has been a trend as the seasons have progressed is this sort of never-ending escalation of what we expect aesthetically from queens, and the value system of Drag Race seems very tied to aesthetics. Of course, performance is a huge part of the show. And sometimes it feels like, oh, it's about the performance. Sometimes it's about the aesthetics. Sometimes it's about both. But that's another.
Sometimes it's about friendship. All Stars 3.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's another topic. But I do feel that the first UK season was so fantastically about talent and performance and personality. And that's, I mean, in my eyes, that's really what makes a great season of Drag Race.
It does.
A bit like the first few seasons of RuPaul, when it was the good old, the reason I used to stay up late and watch it, the good old drag queens, the kind of old school. And that, as soon as RuPaul's UK started and I saw who was on, I was just like, oh my god.
Yeah, it kind of came back to how it used to be. I think nowadays there is a lot of look queens, so the famous on Instagram. And funnily enough, we were talking about this today, about how it's about talent, and yeah, you can beat your face and you can look, you know, amazing. But if you don't have the talent to back that up, it's kind of,
it defeats the object. I mean, it's like if you can't sew and stuff, like certain aspects of drag need to be there to be drag to make it all together. And I think that sometimes people miss the point and think they can just have a look and but they go home first. They go home first.
About that.
And you know, it's not to minimize the talent and skill that goes into beating a face or creating a look. That definitely takes talent, and that's an art. But I think with how makeup and makeup skill is so accessible on the internet now, that everybody's a makeup artist.
Yeah.
You know? And so I think to separate yourself from truly millions of people, the beauty industry is so huge right now. You've got to have the full package.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought the talent was abounding on the UK season. I've had the pleasure, you know, to work with Baga before on my travels to the UK, and I've been keeping up. I've been following Blue Hydrangea for years, just such an exquisite artist. And I loved the new queens that I got to experience on the show. Like, I'm a huge fan. I should just say, generally speaking, I love the UK. I would love to live there.
Come join us.
Right.
We're inviting all our guests.
Yeah, you can come over, fly over. It's fine. Then you can be in the middle of us.
Perfect. But yeah, I loved it.
So one thing I think that how I see it with RuPaul, it really has brought drag into the mainstream, and we are seeing lots of different TV shows with drag queens in. One that you were in, Dragnificent, which we've watched it with.
It made us cry so much.
Yeah, she cried at it.
I cry at everything, but it's particularly that I was like, because it wasn't. Let's just dress someone up. It was a makeover show for the person's mind, their mental health, their almost state of being changed because you guys came into their life, and I just thought that was unbelievable and quite groundbreaking. That drag stars, drag girls are changing the world and making it better.
Yeah, but I kind of think, and I don't know if you would agree with Alexis, but drag queens, especially with the LGBT community, I kind of do see them as kind of like the figureheads, and they are the trailblazers. They're the most noticeable. Like, come on, they're the most noticeable. So with drag queens doing shows like this, I just think it's a fantastic thing. I really, really do. I really, really do.
Yeah, I mean, so the pilot, which is what you've seen in its entirety so far, was Drag Me Down the Aisle. And of course, when we filmed our whole season, we wanted to expand to incorporate not just weddings, but other major life events that people have, because that's, I think, even more relatable than I mean, sure, lots of people get married, but people have all sorts of events that are milestones in their life. And we wanted to lift people up and celebrate them through that. And I think what's amazing is drag can be such a tool to healing, self-discovery, and expression, of course. I mean, that's what drag has always been about, is expressing what's inside and letting it out. But it's a tool to also tap into power and confidence. And that's where, this becomes, like you said, a different makeover show. Yes, we use the tools that we use in drag to...
It's a transformation extravaganza.
Yeah, and, and it's about, we use these tools to sort of put the costume on, but then we try to show these wonderful women that we worked with this season that when you strip it away, that power you felt, it's still there because it was always there. And maybe you couldn't see it, or maybe you saw it once in your life and forgot about it. But it's drag. I mean, drag, really, the way that we're helping people and the way that drag is being used on this show to help people is the same way drag saved me several years ago. I had been dabbling in it and doing it here and there professionally, but for a myriad of reasons, I wasn't in it fully. And I came to a point in my life where I went through a breakup, my dog died, and I was very low, and literally all of a sudden had space in my life. You know, I had space in my apartment, I had space in my life. And that very week I dove headfirst into drag, and it really saved me. At first it was a flashy distraction from pain, but it really helped me build my confidence and love myself in a way that was challenging for me previously.
Do you feel that, because you do a lot of Judy Garland, and
we can see Liza,
like literally they're everywhere, but it's almost as if she's, you know, your icon and a lot of drag stars icons,
and she was a massive gay icon,
and she was huge gay icon. Do you feel now in 2020, like, who's the new Judy? Like, is it just every drag queen out there because it's like that concept of character, or do you think some of the mainstream celebrities out there are the new Judy, like, you know, Lady Gaga and Beyonce, but they're not? I wouldn't say they're like Judy.
I think what's special about people like Judy and Liza and people of their era is, and all right, wow, I'm about to get really nerdy on you.
We like it.
As a theater girl, there was a time in the world and in this country, in the US in particular, where show music, show tunes, and standards were the popular music in the country. And it was really actually, I mean, yes, rock and roll began, you know, with artists like Elvis, but it was really the Beatles. When the Beatles came to this country, suddenly there was a real shift and a movement away from show music as popular music. I mean, they used to play show music on the radio the way they play pop and rock music now on the radio, and rap. So there was a real shift with the British invasion where that became the popular music of the country. And I think in the same spirit, back in that era when show music was popular music, skills like singing and dancing were something that most performers did. You know, even great actors who are known for being incredible, you know, emoters and just some of the most dynamic actors of our time, they also learned to sing and dance. And I think that those are skills that sort of fell by the wayside as this shift in popular music happened. And so actors could be actors, singers could be singers, dancers could be dancers, but that real triple threat vibe became a little bit watered down. That's why I think when we have people like Beyonce and Lady Gaga who do move in all of the mediums, it's exciting, and it is certainly reminiscent of that era of performer, but it's not quite the same. I mean, for my money, Lady Gaga is probably the closest star to someone, you know, who's sort of like a Judy, but like, as you said, it's not quite the same.
It's not.
Well, Lady Gaga did it. Star is Born. Judy Garland did it. You know what I mean?
And she's hit to go into the Feed Me Seymour, Little Shop of Horrors
musical. She's
going down the same road. Do you know what I mean? And she's done some amazing performances. So
yeah,
I like that. But they're just not the same.
But,
nice taste, but just not the same. A bit like Pepsi. Yeah.
You know, and I truly hadn't thought about this till you just said it, but I would agree. In addition to stars like Beyonce and Gaga, I do think drag queens are sort of carrying on that torch, because drag, as you know, we're one women bands. You know, we're the designer, we're the choreographer, we're the music director, we're the performer, we're the costume and hair and makeup team. And so when we put on a performance, if you're really a performance-based queen, then you really are bringing your triple threat skills to the table. So yeah, so I guess it's drag queens like Beyonce and Lady Gaga and the rest of us pushing pushing that triple threat spirit ahead.
Flying the flag, flying the flag.
Yeah, absolutely. But I suppose when I think of Judy Garland, she was a trailblazer, and the time, you know, that was the time of the Stonewall riots, and it was such a politically charged time for LGBT people, and those rights were won. But from what we're seeing in the UK, we're kind of saying that, whoa, in America, some of these rights are going, and that is not right. We just want to say that we stand with you, with them. We are here, and we support that. We would just like to know, though, like just a little bit more about that.
You know, my like-minded Americans are sort of reeling from I hate even referring to him as the president, because he's not my president. But we're all sort of reeling from his State of the Union address last night, where he boasted about his accomplishments and his administration's accomplishments and in what great shape this country is in. And it's just ridiculous. I mean, just because the stock market might be thriving doesn't mean Americans are thriving.
Definitely
you
not.
know, it doesn't translate. And as per usual, he's full of ego and lies. I mean, there were plenty of outright lies, as there often are when he speaks. And I remember a few years ago, just to bring it back to RuPaul for a moment, Ru was interviewed in the New York Times, and it was shortly after marriage equality had passed in our country. And the journalist asked Ru, "Are you excited about, this big milestone for your community?" And Ru said, "I'm always a bit reserved to celebrate these milestones because I've been around long enough to see the pendulum swing back in the other direction." And so he said, "As exciting as this is, I know we'll see the backswing from it." Well, she's a prophet or whatever, or she's wise, and she's old enough to have seen it. And she was so right. And I remembered that when, I had just filmed my season of Drag Race, and I got home and I watched the horrific events of that election unfold. And I remembered what Ru had said, and I thought, my God, she was right. We are having the pendulum is swinging back, and we've been in the throes of a terrible backswing, of swing in the wrong direction. And the only thing sort of keeping me hopeful is that I trust when it swings back to the right side of herstory, it'll be a big swing.
I think it's going to be a huge thing. I think he's going to be exposed for all the shit that's under his bloody bed. But I also think that America has a damn good way of almost fighting back against him and like standing and being like, well, no. And a lot of big named people like stand against him very visibly and very verbally. And I think that is good. I worry so much, especially for the workplace discrimination, because I'd suffered that recently a few years ago. I mean, I'd suffered that a few years ago, and it was horrific. I'd never experienced anything like that. And it was like my first time experiencing it. And it was because I was trans, and like I beat them and won them in court and got loads of money and got loads of Botox, and it was fabulous. Do you know what I mean? I was like, click, click, click. But the fact that I'm strong and really like no one kicks me down. Like I was in a coma 4 years ago and I survived it. And it's like, I'm a real big power go. And I just thought, wow, someone who isn't like me or as strong as me could crumble. And it is really, really worrying and really scary. And I hope none of the drama that seems to be in America ever kind of weighs in as much as it has over there in the UK. Because I just think for people like me and Jossie and other trans people, it's almost like we're going to be the first hit at the moment a little bit, because it's so it's popular almost to have a label and some people use it in the wrong way. And we just feel like it's going to leave a very small space for people who are trying to do good like ourselves. Like, we really want to help others, but it's the others that aren't really helping themselves.
Yeah. I'm hopeful that, you know, certainly in entertainment recently, we've made progress with greater visibility for trans people, but I'm hopeful that the basic human rights of all people, including my beautiful trans brothers and sisters, are not further impacted as they've already been. I mean, this administration here in the States is actively trying to chip away at basic human rights. And it is horrific. And that's why we take a stand. And that's why we raise our voice and say, we don't stand for this and we won't stand for it. We refuse to go backward when we've already come so far.
But how do you feel about people who say they're part of the community and society and humanity, but really represent themselves like really bad? Like, we struggle so much when we're trying to be heard, but they'd rather put the camera on someone who, in my view, isn't really representing what a trans person stands for. But it's because they're a bit out there and outrageous. Yeah, we'll focus on that. And then we get it in the neck. Like, we get the backlash. I have been like attacked over the years. I remember the struggle. I lost like so much of my life to being bullied. Now I'm fully transitioned, and it's almost like the clowns have come out to play. And then when I tell people I'm trans, the first thing they go to is, oh, that guy with the beard and the short skirt talking on telly, being against women, against straight men, like just being a negative. And I'm like, no, that's not me. And they're like, well, you're all the same. And it's like, oh, we're really not. That's really like so hard for us to fight back. And that's massively why we do the show, to show that it's okay to have an opinion. Everyone's entitled to it. But if you're going to represent something, represent it right.
Yeah, and that's the challenge that we face for sure. And you can never tell who's going to be, who will raise their voice for the sake of a community, or those who will raise their voice for the sake of themselves. And I think that that's when you can tell the difference, is when you see that they're projecting something that doesn't speak to or for the whole community, but is just trying to be sensational. In the media. And unfortunately, I think you'll in many areas of life you'll always have some of that, because there are a bunch of fame whores out there.
And that's why we're doing the show, because we're fame whores. So don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, bitch.
Yes.
We want to congratulate you as well. We have a congratulations.
Oh yes, we want to say congratulations on you for helping to raise $20,000.
Thank you.
Bushfires. That is, again, the power of drag.
The power of drag.
I just I've actually never been to Australia. I dreamed that as part of my drag race experience, I'd be booked to travel over there, and it almost happened, but it didn't quite come through. So I've never been, but I've always wanted to go. And I just, from so far away, felt very despondent and helpless about, the terrible natural disasters that they suffered. And particularly, I mean, of course, like, when people and people's homes are threatened, but when poor innocent animals are at the mercy of natural disaster, it's particularly heartbreaking to me. And I just so badly wanted to help in some way. So when my friend Reed approached me, he's in the cast of Moulin Rouge on Broadway, and said, we're putting together a benefit show. Would you like to partake? I said, absolutely. It was an instant yes. And I said on the mic at the show, I said, this is, I sang, actually speaking, bringing it back to Judy, I sang The Man That Got Away. And the amazing thing about that song, when I sing that song, I always think, my God, no wonder Judy Garland drank. But yet when she delivers that song in the film A Star Is Born, she somehow finds the joy in the song. Like, she sings a lot of it with a smile on her face. And I said, when I was on the mic at this benefit, I'm not saying we can necessarily find the joy in this natural disaster that this country has faced and is facing, but the area to find the joy is in what community can do. And this is what's possible when community comes together. And really, that's indicative of what has to happen in our country and in the world, is more coming together and not dividing as we are now. You know, there's so much division in my country, in the world. And if people could just figure out that when you come together, you're capable of bringing about positive change, well, we'd all be in better shape.
Mm-hmm. It is actually scary from in the UK, from how almost divided the LGBT community is. Like, it's so strange. Like, obviously, like when we reached out to you, we were like, please, and all, and like really, we really wanted, because we want to get our voices across, not because we want to be famous or get money. I had all that many years ago. I could have done so much with it, and I needed the real money. So I was like, got to get on the dime and all that stuff. But even when we reach out to some people in the community, they're almost like, I'm too good for that. And we're like, hang on a second. We're trying to talk about real issues and like help people who are younger than us watch and go, oh, it's actually not as scary as it is. And this is a good example of how people are doing it right. I have a really lovely life. I've had it hard. Jossie the same. You the same. But we did it right. And I just feel like the community really needs to come together and embrace themselves. And I don't know if you've noticed, we notice a lot in the UK when Pride Month happens, everyone's got a sandwich, everyone's got a flag. Soon as that day goes, sale, half price. And I'm like looking like, and everyone's celebrating this, and some of the TV when they're like, they'll put a guy on, and people are like, oh my God, it's groundbreaking. And I'm like, it should have been 10 years ago, not now, right. Not because it's popular. It should have been 10 years ago. And to say, oh, we're so grateful. No, we're not. You're too slow. Do you want to catch up? And it's frustrating. Do you see that in America or?
Absolutely. I mean, you see it in America. I've seen it in other parts of the world too, but you know, you call it pinkwashing, where corporations will get behind.
I'm feeling that.
You know, yeah, they'll get behind the cause during Pride Month to show their support and to, you know, to encourage acceptance and diversity, but you don't necessarily see all of these corporations practicing that throughout the year. Some of them do. I'm not trying to undercut, you know.
No, some of them do. I agree with that. Some of them do. But like just in the media today, Nivea has lost work and a contact because they quoted like, we don't do gay at Nivea. And it's like, I'm sure they did like a pride packaging thing a while ago, and it's such the my workplace that I was discriminated at. They've got like gender neutral clothing, and I'm like, hello, like, what's going on here? Why are I getting grief? But you're trying to say you support me, and they just don't, and it irritates me. And a lot of the people who I feel don't represent the community in the best way, they'll jump on with them and be like, yeah, I love this, I love that. And I'm like, God, you're so thirsty. Like, just put your drink down and like chill out, because you're going to misrepresent us to the younger generation who are going to grow up and breed more arseholes. Like, we don't need any more arseholes.
You know, the other thing that I said when I was on stage during my Pride show this past year was, it was World Pride in New York City. It was very exciting. There was a lot of energy. It was actually cool because there were so many visitors from out of town that just walking around the city, you felt the extra gayness in the, you know, in
the air. I can feel it everywhere.
Yeah. And it was fun. And I said, we need to keep this excitement, this feeling going all the year round. It's not just for this, you know,
Exactly.
the few days that Pride takes place in your city. It's a way to live throughout the year. And so, you know, I always encourage people to try to live as transparently and openly as they can throughout the year, because that is what brings about change. And I want to shout out to you two, because you are, just by living your lives, and of course by reaching people with this show, you are just by being yourselves setting an example and being a possible role model to so many people.
We do
It's
all.
yeah, oh absolutely, absolutely. And it's a part of the Drag Race experience that I didn't actually anticipate. um I've been very humbled when I hear from people, oh, just by doing what you do, you help me, or you're changing lives.
Just
And
by being you, you help people. And you don't understand, you helped us in so many different ways. On one of your episodes, when you actually openly spoke about how you didn't like the jokes, etc. And I just thought that was like a lesson for me. I was like, I can just speak and tell people, like, I don't like it when you make like a fun of me and be like, this is my trans friend. And I said that to a load of my friends who I'm no longer friends with now, because they were like, what, you being so serious for? And I was like, oh, sorry, it's me as a person not serious, and I'm a commodity
like
because I'm a token.
friend.
And it just made me watch the episode, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And it peed us off. That almost, you didn't get like shaded, but it should have been focused on that more, because if I learned from it and benefited, more people could have if the light was on that a little bit better.
It's funny, I was speaking to someone about that recently, not because I harp on it, but because someone brought it up to me. And you know, what happens with Drag Race, as with any sort of program of its nature, is they film so much and they can only show so much. So there have to be some decisions made about what is shown and what isn't shown. And I can take a joke, trust, and I can take a joke about being a big curvy girl. Like, that's not a problem for me. What was lost in that moment was the context, and we had you know, and the other thing that doesn't come through is, to me, because of how the show is shot, it was a few days before. Now, in everybody's living room, it was separated by several weeks. But for my experience as someone who was a living, breathing thing going through it, this conversation had happened a few days ago, where we spoke at length and very sensitively about eating disorders. And we heard from all the thin girls about struggles with anorexia and bulimia. And we spoke sensitively about it. And then I spoke about how I have struggled with my body and with my relationship with food my entire life, and that I am on the other end of the spectrum when it comes to eating disorder. And Eureka related to it. And for whatever reason, none of that made the cut. We only heard the discussion about anorexia and bulimia, not about overeating, which is an eating disorder. So what was lost in the context was, I just felt, we're not cracking jokes about, oh, bitch, you're so skinny. You know, we're not doing that. And so why then was making fun of me being big something to be less sensitive about than those girls' issues? So that's why I responded the way I did. And people read me for being overly sensitive. They said she can dish it, she can't take it. And moreover, you know, people who didn't like me or wanted to make fun of me, they now knew, oh, she's insecure about her weight. Perfect. That's what we're going to go for.
Yeah.
And so my weight and my body image became a topic of the show that I certainly never wanted it to be. And I never expected that it would be such a plot point. But that is in fact what happened. But yes, like you said, it's so important to keep doing what we're doing because it really does impact people. And like I said, I didn't see that part coming. And what's funny is drag in the early days of the LGBTQ plus movement was so subversive. It was truly a form of activism. And what's funny
I
is
missed that.
Pardon?
I missed that. I missed the remembrance of drag being a form of activism, and actually what you guys did was like groundbreaking.
Well, I feel in some ways, because of the political climate we're in and how divided we are, I feel more like an activist now in drag than I did 10 years ago. Because there's such divisiveness, because there are such threats to our community, I do feel like getting up in my drag is me like carrying a flag, I really do feel that way.
We feel like you've went on and done so many great successful things. But before we leave you today, what is next for you? What are you doing next? Can we get any exclusives? And first of all, when are we meeting up for a drink in the UK?
Oh my gosh. Well, of course, you can watch our first full season of Dragnificent on TLC. I know that our pilot, Drag Me Down the Aisle, was on TLC UK, so I'm very hopeful, and I expect that Dragnificent will also be on TLC UK. We don't have an exact date yet, but they're telling us April, so stay tuned in April. And I'll be doing a few shows here in New York City. I'll be doing my return to 54 Below, Feinstein's. I'll be doing 2 nights on April 24th and May 7th at 9:30 p.m. And it's going to be a fun, lovey, blossomy springtime show. And then I'll also be doing a Pride show back at Club Cumming at the end of June. And
UK?
I cannot... Pardon?
Will you be in the UK anytime soon?
I don't have plans as of right now on my calendar, but as I have said, it is my favorite place in the world. And I hope that I will be able to come back soon and drinky poo-poos for sure.
One last question though. Will you ever do All Stars?
I would. Here's the thing. There were plenty of people that wrote me off the first time, and I wouldn't be entering into it with the objective to change anybody's mind. I would just... I felt like the last time around, I fought tooth and nail. I got to show that I'm a talented performer. I had a couple moments aesthetically that I was proud of, but as it is such an aesthetic space, I would love to go back in and feel like I can represent myself visually the way that I feel I was even before Drag Race, but certainly, there's an evolution that happens. And so I'd love to show people sort of what I can provide visually now in a way that perhaps I didn't get to fully express last time. And of course, continue to show that I'm a talented performer. So I would love to go back and give it a go again.
Well, we hope you do. And we would just like to let you know that we love you, we embrace you, and we completely support you. And thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you, girls. It was such a pleasure. All my love to you.
And just before you go as well, tell all of your friends that have good followers to come on our bloody show.
Everybody, you've got to come and talk to Faye and Jossie.
Yay! Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Oh, I love. Well, guys,
She
that was so
lovely.
so lovely.
Oh, I could have talked to her for ages about Judy Garland.
Yeah, but my friend's coming on soon, so I gotta go.
Yeah.
Oh my god! So bringing our next guest straight on, because why not? It is the amazing, the magnificent,
The one and only.
Danny Beard. I'll just bring you.
There we
go. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm all right. Let me sit this way in front of that black light. How you doing?
Very
Good,
well, thank you.
You look well.
Oh, we try.
Have you got a fish tank there?
Yes, I've got a marine fish tank.
I'm so jealous. I love fish. So
The
jealous.
effort that goes in to keep the fish tank, I'll drop it off, Danny. Honestly, sick of cleaning it. So welcome to our show, Danny.
Thanks, girls. Thanks for having me.
It was honestly, when we were bringing back the show, I had like my list, and because I'd met you so many times, worked in different things, I was like, Danny, I'll get Danny. And the only reason I said, I was like, he might respond to us.
You know why? Because of chat crap. That's why I am the queen of chat. Can I say shit?
You can swear, you can say bugger, you can say twat. But speaking of twat, let's dive straight in. What do you think? Reality TV, obviously you're known not just for Britain's Got Talent, because you are, in my opinion, a drag superstar around the UK and the world. But do you feel reality TV really is a positive way to represent our community, your community, the LGBT in a whole?
I think it's certainly accessible to people. It's a format people know. Reality TV shows are launching people's careers left, right, and centre. I think if it's a platform that people are familiar with, and it's where they kind of look to for their entertainment, for their, their next icon they want to worship, then it's
what's acceptable.
Then let's go ahead and do it. I think it's a good thing or a bad thing? I think it depends on the people that we're celebrating, and I think it depends on the people, on how we're celebrating the people. Something like RuPaul's Drag Race that we've just seen Alexis Michelle on has done amazing things for the community around the world. But with every amazing thing, there's bad points to it. The same with like Britain's Got Talent, you know what I mean? It gave me a voice and a platform to be heard on, one I didn't have before. But again, it come with negative points. So I think it's the way the world is. What makes it go round is the negative and the positive. It's just how we deal with both of those,
And you seem to deal with everything almost in your stride. You kind of just get on, you crack on with whatever situation you're in. But because drag's so mainstream now, obviously with the UK version, do you think as a trans lady, do you think it isn't represented enough? Because obviously you're all over the UK doing gigs, doing clubs, doing nightclubs, doing events. You must see a lot of different types of drag artists. We personally see a lot of trans drag artists. Do you feel that we are being represented in your world?
I think I've had such a long day of meetings then. I've just literally had a Skype conversation with my acting agent about this and about representation. And I still think very much the media as a whole, I used Hollyoaks today as an example. They've got a drag queen storyline on at the moment. We're not being represented in the way of who we are, what the community is. We're being represented in a way of what do straight people or what do the people making these TV shows think a trans person thinks a drag queen looks like. Like at the moment, God bless him, the actor on Hollyoaks is doing his best, but he doesn't look like a drag queen at all. In my experience, they've kind of dressed him as a bit of a tea girl, as a bit of somebody more experimenting. Sorry, I'm just moving this out of the way. I'm very aware of that glare. Somebody experimenting more with gender than with drag, and I think it is confusing to people. But I think when people are creating these roles and these storylines, we really need the people of that community to be the voices of that. And I think we need to see more trans actors in those roles. We need to see more. If you want a drag queen, I can tell you a million drag queens that can act, sing, and dance, and that do drag. Cast them in the role.
Yeah.
To bring that authenticity and therefore be able to educate the audience in that better, in my opinion.
Do you feel, just touching on what you just said, the representation, I feel a lot of it is misrepresentation. And for a guy that sports a beard, we at the moment are being told by our community it is okay if you are a woman and you have a beard, a full beard. It's fine. You can still get all the same rights as a woman and what a woman can have, like, entitled to. Do you agree with us? Because we believe that is not representing us as a trans person, and what the essence of a trans person is to transition to the gender they've chosen, not to stay in limbo, not to be half. It's almost what aesthetically needs to be seen. You don't have to be gorgeous. You don't have to look like Jossie and be a tiny waist and all that stuff. But you still need to, you know, like you, when you're on stage, you look the part. You still got to look the part in some way.
I think if that's what's important to you girls, Faye and Jossie, then that's what's important to Faye and Jossie. But I also think there's something to be said for just allowing anyone, whoever that is and whoever they are and whoever they feel they are, whether they're cis, trans, whatever, to represent and be themselves. So if I know I've maybe have some gender fluid friends or gender neutral friends that prefer to use the term non-binary nowadays, but you know, some days will go out and they will maybe have a bit of beard and a bit of hair and a bit of a hairy chest on show because that's what they feel comfortable that day doing, and then the next day they might wear themselves some little pop socks and a skirt. I think we personally, as a community, starting from within LGBTQ+, we need to stop allowing ourselves to fixate on how others present personally. If they want to present that way, then let them, because at the end of the day, it doesn't affect or take away the rights that I am experiencing or the rights that I need to move forward in my life.
For us, I agree, it is our opinion. So I suppose what we're focusing on, so people don't get it confused, is the people that are expressing their identity in the wrong way that we see, but they're also acting in a malice and a negative way. So if a woman was to say, oh, I feel really uncomfortable that you're in the changing rooms, you have a beard, they then kick off and have a big dramatic argument or a fight in some cases. And that does affect our life. I have lost some work over it because they've heard a story that, as we've discussed, the media presents to the people, and they've read that story and instantly made the same assumption about me. And I'm not saying don't have a beard, don't have hair all over your body. I haven't shaved for 2 weeks. It's not about not doing that, but just remember what you're trying to stand for. And if you're going to be a girl in the girl environment, remember the environment you're in, and those around you also matter as well as you. So it's got to be an equal playing field. They matter as well as you. I'm not saying don't go out and do it. I'm just almost saying just be understanding that the world isn't full of unicorns.
It's just about we've spoken about this before. It's just about taking responsibility, and it's responsibility for your safety. So that's what it comes down to. What I always say about when we do this show, yes, it's very much my opinion, Faye's opinion. Sometimes our opinion can be different, and your opinion could be different to ours, and that's totally fine.
Absolutely.
We're really big supporters of that. Like, we believe that we should just have a discussion about things, and if we don't agree with it, it's okay. Like, I'm not going to hold it against someone if their opinion is different to mine. Like,
well, the only reason we share our opinion isn't to change other people's, because we want everyone to think as they are. It's to have that information there just in case it can work better for them. Because I remember when I was starting to transition, I was attacked, Danny. I had half my teeth knocked out, my face smashed in a gay bar as well. And it was because I was presenting as a woman, but I was in mid transition, and I got so hardly hurt that I almost jump at it, and I'm like, no, you can't do that. Because in a sense, sometimes I worry. I'm like, the world isn't ready to understand our complexity, and I worry about that.
I think this is why, though, we should be. This is why from within the queer community, the queer space, I like to use that word because I think it fits me and my friendship group and who I associate with best. I think the best way to deal with that is to be less judgmental within our community about how people present, and be more understanding, and be able to turn around and say, well, you know what, some people may identify as a woman, or lady, whatever they want to identify and use words used. Let's not get hung up on words, but today they might have some 5 o'clock shadow. And I think if we can tackle people's prejudices first, rather than aiming the anger on the person that's doing it, that's how I see it. But I also understand the massive point about safety, and even I've had trans abuse hurled at me, and I'd hate any of my trans brothers or sisters to experience some of the abuse I've had. And that's me being dressed as Danny Beard, which is a real extreme play with gender. I mean, my skin tone isn't even ever.
I love it. We love it. We love it. We love it. We love it.
Yeah.
And that's what we love about yourself as well. You can, as much as we honed in on, it is a safety factor for everybody, because we have witnessed, just by standing back and watching a situation unfold, that somebody that can get outed in a changing room or a women's only area can then be followed, attacked, anything. And it's almost like we'll ask the question, oh, well, why did you go in, not your full glam self, or, not what you they would maybe need in that environment. And obviously I get that their answer is, oh, well, this is just me. I get that, but you're scarily putting yourself at risk of being hurt. And I would never want any of my LGBT family to ever be harmed just because they didn't just think first. Because go wherever you want and dress how you want, and we embrace it.
Yeah.
But be mindful, if you're in an enclosed space like a ladies' or a men's toilet, that is a scary place to be if you're on your own, or if you're not, if no one knows you're there. And this goes for any male, female toilets. We have just recently read about a story of a woman getting attacked in a male changing area because she was transitioning, but she then hadn't fully transitioned. So for her, it was like, oh, well, I do kind of still look like a woman. She wanted to be a guy, and she was in a bad situation. And she almost reflected and went, oh, I just wish I hadn't done that. And if that is all it takes, so you're not in a situation where you're mentally affected, physically affected, then like we just hope people do it, because in no way don't be yourself. Like, be whatever the fuck you want to be.
That's 22, isn't there? And there's definitely a fair balance of keeping yourself safe and also not being afraid to be who you want to be wherever you want to be, because everybody deserves that right. And I as a cis gay male will never understand what it's like to not to be able to go into that environment. However, I can apply circumstances where I know I feel safe, maybe unsafe. As a gay man, maybe I can lower my voice or, edit my behavior. And I'm not saying that's something I condone or want people to do, but I've definitely been guilty of going and sitting in a barber's chair and doing you're right, mate, I'll have a short back inside. Because we do that.
So have I, Danny. So have I.
But as you know, as trans people, and I've had this very same conversation with my fiance, who is a person of colour, as trans people, as people of colour, who you are is worn on the outside, so you can't necessarily just edit behaviours to allow people to believe their version of you, if I'm talking sense here.
Absolutely.
I think there's definitely a thing for having your wits about you, but I also think it's not mutually exclusive. We can tackle that issue at the same time we're tackling, let's have more, I don't understand why restaurants and things aren't gender neutral areas. Like, there's no need for us to, there isn't really a need for us nowadays to have, if we have a baby changing area, great. And then there's no reason why we can't have an open hand washing area with individual cubicles, 6 of them that are.
I agree with that. As long as there's individual cubicles where you can.
Oh, I don't agree with that.
No. When you can say safe, if that's where we're going for.
Because then if all them areas are on camera, and then within the private cubicle, that's where it's off camera, then that's surely a safer environment than saying this is this and this is this and making somebody choose there and then which toilets they're going to go in. Because from what you're saying, there's a lot of people that just living their day-to-day lives wouldn't be safe in either of those either of those.
I always think there should just be 3, male, female, and gender neutral. And if you want to be in male only, fine. If you want to go female only, fine. But if you are fine in either, just go into that one. That is just how I feel about it.
And I think in reality, that's an amazing idea, but also
putting it in practice. I know that.
How many companies are going to put that into tuition? I think the best, it's not hard for them to just unscrew the little male and female logos off the doors and just throw on a gender neutral one onto both.
Do you not think that could open the door for like anyone who knows that there could be a vulnerable person in that area and they're allowed to go in that area, and that almost eliminates, because if I went to a female toilet, if someone sees a guy going in, they might be a bit like, oh, what's going on? But if you're in a gender neutral toilet and it's late and it's not very lit up, and someone comes in knowing what they're going to do with the intention of hurting that person sexually or physically, do you not think we are almost creating a space for that to potentially happen? I'm not saying it shouldn't happen, but if we're going to do that, then there should be a toilet attendant. I
in all these, this is what I'm saying, in all these ideal situations, I think regardless of gender, sexuality, whatever, if somebody's intention is to go out and hurt somebody, I think somebody's intention is to go out and hurt somebody. I think if somebody wants to go and do bad things to a child, they're going to go to an area where children are. So if somebody wants to do bad things to a lady, then maybe they're just going to go in the ladies' toilets anyway. Do you know what I mean? I just think we need to just be, as a society, a lot more conscious and just a lot more tolerant of other people. If I saw somebody in the toilet area that I thought, I've done it before, I've actually, by mistake, just because I'm so used to being in queer spaces and gay clubs, and I never think about the toilet I'm going in ever, because 90% of the time I'm in drag or whatever, I just use them. I've found myself in situations where I've gone in the toilet, I've come out, I've washed my hands, I turn and there's been 2 women there and they stopped and I've stopped. They've looked at me and I've looked at them and I've been like, is this the women's? And they're like, yeah, and I'm like, oh, so sorry. Or do you know what I mean? Or even the other way around. I think before I bumped into women in the men's, I think just in society, if we were just a little bit more less bothered.
I agree with you on that. And the reason I do, because you just really honed in on a good point. I've seen that so many times. If a drag queen is in the area, it's almost accepted. But then anyone else, because you just made a really good point there. I remember being at clubs and seeing drag queens in any toilet, no one batted a eye. It's a drag queen. So why are we getting so hung up? Because anyone can dress up as a drag queen and pretend they're a drag queen.
That's true. I think
so. I get when you come. Oh, he's changed me mind. He's changed me mind.
So how I see that though is drag is a performance. So people know that is just somebody performing. Whereas if it's somebody identifying as something, there may be a difference with that. That's just how I see it.
I think personally the problem is from the media. People don't really realise that 90% of their own opinions aren't really ever their own opinions. Even mine. It depends on who we hang around with. It depends on the news articles we decide to read and the places we decide to get our information from. And a lot of people get their information from things like Facebook and Good Morning Britain with Piers Morgan. So even though before they realise that they're spouting opinions, they realise they're not their own opinions. And I think hopefully, in my mind, in 20 years' time, in 30 years' time, we'll look back at this time that we're living in now and we'll be ashamed. We'll be ashamed because trans people are going through what gay people went through in the 80s and 90s. They're being slated, they're being, what next? We'll identify as a dog. Well, years ago, they said, what next? We'll be marrying dogs when gay marriage was allowed in. So, although it's a shit time for our trans brothers and sisters at this time, I'm hoping that we'll look back at some of the things printed in papers and said and done on television and realise that this is just as barbaric and disgusting as some of the things that was happening to gay people back then.
Well, the only way is up, isn't it, Danny? The only way is up. Do you know what I mean?
The only way is up, and the only way is up is if, as a community, we all build ourselves up. And that's why there's no room in the queer, the gay, the bisexual communities for any kind of transphobia, and this is one thing I don't take lightly to, especially if I see online. I mean, I came away from Facebook. I still have my Danny Beard friend page that you can message, but my actual page, like, I've not used that for over a year now. I just literally stick to the page that you like, so I don't have to see other people's opinions. Instagram, because again, I have to follow you back to see your opinions, and it's just made my whole online experience so much nicer coming away from it.
Bless me.
We just end up riling each other up on Facebook and all shouting into an empty void of nothing, of online. It's not actually going anywhere. It's going online. Yeah. We're hearing what we want to hear, which is if we're transphobic, there's loads of other transphobes around us that agree with us. Yeah, and if we're not, we're more liberal and open-minded. We just agree with all those people. So we're not actually changing anyone's lives by sitting on Facebook. I think the way we can change people's lives and opinions is to challenge it in the moment. And if you hear somebody be transphobic, if you hear someone in the workplace make a transphobic comment, just explain what they mean.
I do that all the time. Honestly, Danny, it is so ridiculous. My boyfriend's been like, you can't just do that. I'm like, listen, if I see someone being a dick to someone who is part of my external family, then I am calling them out. And if I see someone just being a dick in general, my French, I'm going to call them out. I always say to people, how can you just stand around and watch people be dickheads in the world we live in and just accept it? If you accept it, you're tolerating it, which means you're allowing it.
And if you're allowing it, you're part of the problem.
Exactly. Let's move on to a lighter subject.
Yeah.
Go away.
I love your dog, by the way.
She's like, honestly, you'd think she was sedated. Look at her. This is all she does.
Oh, she's lovely. We love dogs. So we've seen that you've recently done Panto. In that last year, you were billed as the first ever gender fluid Panto dame. Do you think that that is kind of where the future of these things is going with pantomime, that pantomime is going to reflect modern society? Because I understand pantomime is a very traditional thing, but pantomime, to be fair, everybody's cross-dressing and whatnot. You've got men as women, and
this is it.
Women as men, and people as horses.
It wasn't. I don't think it was ever the intention of the producers to dub me or the character I was playing as the first ever gender-neutral panto dame. Again, you know what the media are like, and if they can put a spin on something that's going to sell some headlines or direct traffic to their page so that they can in the corner advertise some shitty celebrity diet plan, that's what they're going to do. The role I played was gender fluid. Some outfits I would wear would be big sequin gowns that would be associated with the female of the species. Some outfits were, you know, like sailor suits and male and masculine presenting. So in that sense of the word, the character was gender fluid. This was not this year. This was the year before, by the way. Because this year.
Shade.
No, I said last year.
No, I won't be shady to you. I just mean if anyone goes back and
I've done my research
or for anything, and it sees that I'm playing Mrs. Twanky List last Christmas, I don't want them to be thinking I'm chatting a load of shit. So it wasn't shade. But yeah, I think pantomime has always reflected modern day. Back years ago, when Panto was big in the Palladium before it's made its resurgence, it had boxing stars in of the day. And it commented upon the times. Panto should comment upon the times. I find working and performing in front of kids is something I've never done before. Kids don't bat an eyelid. I will come out with a full white face, a big frock,
They think you're a superhero. It's fabulous.
Yeah.
And they love and they get behind it. You know, kids watch cartoons, and drag queens are the cartoon characters of our life. They're there to
entertain girls.
All of it. They're there to entertain. They're there to make you laugh. They're there to put a smile on your face. They're there to make you think. And if we make a few lines about being gender fluid in a play or gender neutral, and somebody doesn't know what that is and they go home and Google it, then we've added a bit of education. People take from performance and theatre and arts what they want to take from it. I'm just glad that I was a part of something positive for my trans brothers and sisters, rather than letting a negative story run upon trans issues.
I think you are a positive entity in this world. I've met you a couple of times, and I'm like buzzing. I'm like, oh my God, I love him. And I'm usually half naked, and I'm usually the center of attention.
You look brilliant.
No, but you steal the show in such a good way that it's not because like you're a diva, which you are. It's like because you have this like charismatic vibe, and it's so connecting, and I love that. And for everyone watching right now, where can they see you this year? Because that is probably the main question that we were asked, because you're performing in different places, but where in the UK will you be performing this year?
So I always have a certain amount of residencies. So this year you can find me a lot of the Two Brewers in London, in Clapham. That's one of my residencies. So I'm there at least twice a month. I'm also on the roster for the Royal Vauxhall Tavern this year in Vauxhall in London. Outside of London, moving up the country, I'm in Eden in Birmingham. So I work exclusively with that venue in Birmingham. I'm always there at least once a month. I have a residency now in Leeds in the Viaduct. I have residencies in Canal Street in Manchester. I do various events with Eagle and the Lodge, and soon to be the New Brewers in Manchester as well. So
one last question, Danny. Would you ever do RuPaul's Drag Race?
Do you know what? I would love the opportunity to show on another bigger platform the work I can do. I think I'd be really fucking good on Drag Race because I
do well.
I know that I do the things that there's required to do with the girls on that show. I don't know if it's whether I'm ready for Drag Race. I wonder if Drag Race is ready for me.
Yes, that is so true.
And I am big-headed, and I am confident. And
Good.
One thing I say a lot in my Pride shows is don't let anybody ever tell you that she's too cocky or she thinks too much of herself there, because as a young gay person growing up that just didn't want to be here anymore and didn't want to be in the world, I always just wanted to be the best at something. And when I found drag, I was like, I want to be the best at this. And then all of a sudden people would say, you're still not good enough. You think you're the best. You think you're that. And I think, you know what? It's taken me 27 years to get here. But yeah, I do love myself. I love myself a lot. And the way we need to be. So
it is. Love yourself more, Danny. And
don't love yourself, you're going to have people say shit about you. If you do love yourself, you're going to have to say people say shit about you. At least when I love myself and people say shit about me, at least there's love in the air. Do you know what I mean? Not hate. So.
Absolutely. Have you enjoyed the show?
Yeah, it's been. I've been enjoying sat watching it. I've been sitting here on my phone, agreeing along. It's been camp. Yeah.
Well, we want to thank you from us. Thanks
so
for joining us on the show. Love to have you back soon, of course. But we just want to wish you all the best for this year. You are rocking it, still going, and we hope to see you on RuPaul Drag Race eventually. Maybe more as a judge, babes. Maybe more as a judge.
Thanks, girls.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Technical fault.
There's always one. So, guys, that was absolutely fantastic. We love Danny Beard.
Yes.
Before we move on to our next guest, which we are always so late, we just want to thank everyone who's watching. Please subscribe to YouTube, like us on Instagram, and follow us on Facebook. And if you've liked the show, like share it with your friend, share it with your mom. We want to help. And our next guest is gonna help us. We just want to welcome to the show.
We want to welcome to the show Rose of Dawn.
Yes.
Hi. Hi. Sorry, I look a little bit rough. I've literally just got in from work.
You look absolutely fine. Honestly, who cares what we look like? We're just not So, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me on.
Honestly, it's absolutely our pleasure. So, for everyone out there who doesn't know anything about you, please tell us.
Okay, so long story, just to kind of simplify who I am, I've often been called a mix between Sargon of Akkad and Blair White, but British. So I am a classic liberal / conservative YouTuber. I run a channel obviously called Rose of Dawn. I've been doing it for almost 2 years now. And a lot of things that I talk about relate to identity politics. And in particular, when it comes to the trans community, I do a fairly weekly show called Trans Stupid, where I take a look at the wonderful world of LGBT news and basically call out some of the ridiculousness that comes out of this community. I use my privilege, as it were, as a trans woman to be able to comment on a lot of the absolute inane stuff that happens in our name, and basically kind of put a critical voice on that from within the community. And it has been quite successful. I've been able to get quite a decent amount of followers over the last year, especially after the whole Jessica Yaniv stuff blew up. And I don't know whether your viewers are aware of Jessica Yaniv. If they aren't, I'm afraid that don't Google that name. It will kind of mess with your head.
She's a plant.
She's like Yaniv. Yeah. God, I don't know whether I'm allowed to swear or not. So
swear all you want.
Okay.
Moving on. Let's get down to the tea. Yeah. So we've watched and seen so many different videos,
and we've agreed with a lot.
And we've agreed with a lot we agree with. And the whole gender neutral, non-binary, etc. There is, of course, people out there who identify as that and do it right. But there is a lot out there, including trans, the word trans, identifying as trans, who are out there doing it so wrong that the backlash on us is phenomenal at the moment.
Like, these are the people who are getting the headlines. They're the ones who are getting a lot of the media attention. And that wouldn't necessarily be a lot of a problem if they were just doing it as individuals and just being generally weird themselves. The problem is that they do it as they almost self-appoint themselves as representatives of trans people. And there isn't a lot in the community which really challenges that notion. So when they come up, when these are people who are reporting people to the police for tweets that they disagree with, when they are kicking up fusses about service, when it isn't even clear what gender they identify as because they look and sound like men or women, and it turns out that actually there's something completely different. And they do it in our name. And that becomes a big problem when there isn't even a consensus within the trans community as to what non-binary is, as a big example. Like, non-binary has so many different meanings to the point where it has no meaning. Non-binary can be whatever you want. You can have gender dysphoria, you don't have to have it. You can identify as a man and be a man, but you don't like being referred to as a man. And not a lot of it really makes any sense. And all of this seems to be gaining not even acceptance, but tolerance. And that's a big problem when it's becoming the open narrative. People are only tolerating it because if they speak out against it, they're likely to get into trouble. They're likely to be banned from social media. They'll have their YouTube channel shut down. They could be reported to the police. They could lose their jobs. And so bear in mind, about 10 years ago, back when I first started my transition, like, trans people were very, like, a small section of the LGBT community. Like, you would look at LGBT stuff and you would maybe hear a little bit about trans people, but it would be almost like a side note. Whereas now it's the bulk of what we hear. Like, I was at London Pride last year and there was so much on the we accept trans people, accept all genders. And that was a big thing. But then that wasn't even enough for some of the trans activists who went up and set up their own community. My boyfriend is just at the door. I will be back in a second.
Well, guys, while she lets her hubby in the door, we would just like to remind you all to subscribe and please share our video. Let's get this shared all over Facebook, like I'm doing, of course, on socials.
On the social media.
And we have one hell of an interview with Rose. So once she comes back, we'll continue.
Yes.
While we are waiting, we just want to once again...
I'm back.
Rose She's back.
Well, I couldn't leave you waiting.
We were just thanking all of our guests, but continue.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So where did I leave it? So at Pride, there was a lot on trans stuff, but that still wasn't enough for a lot of the hardline activists who are pushing their own weird ideas, like this full demedicalization of being trans, shutting down gender identity clinics, when these are the barriers that people really need to deal with if they want to get the right treatment. Otherwise, you're going to end up with people who aren't trans accidentally transitioning. And this does happen when you see the amount of people who are now openly detransitioning. Transitioning wasn't the right thing for them. They've taken irreversible medical procedures and it's now messed up their lives. That shouldn't be happening. So it needs to be there for our own safety. But these people want to tear it down. And that's now becoming a big narrative from our community. And that terrifies me as someone who's gone through all those steps. I'm not saying the current situation is perfect. I think that the NHS is atrocious for transitioning. And I would honestly encourage everyone to go private because you get a much better service and you get actual treatment at a reasonable time frame. With the NHS, we're waiting 3 years.
No, Rose, because when we transitioned many moons ago, I literally was like, I'm transitioning, do 2 years. I did go private for my boobs. Then my surgery suffered quite quickly. It was a terrible surgery. I've had loads of complications, but it did happen quite quickly. Do you not feel that the medical board, because everyone's jumping out now, are almost holding the keys because they're worried? Fuck, there's so many of them. Shit, what do we do? And now, as you said, people are transitioning and then going back. People who are doing this and not identifying correctly and expressing themselves correctly are screwing it up for the rest of us.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pressure on medical boards and the practitioners to effectively diagnose and give out medication at will. And I've seen this being within the so-called London queer community, where people have actually gone all the way to a gender specialist. And in a number of occasions, they've been denied medical treatment. They've been told, no, we've analyzed you. You don't have gender dysphoria. I am not recommending that you take hormones. And then they kick up a massive fuss within the community. And they start campaigns on how these practitioners are transphobic because they're not giving out the healthcare. When all they're doing is ignoring them. Like these are professionals. You're paying a professional to diagnose you. You've got to respect what they have to say. And unfortunately, there are going to be people who think they are trans, but they are not. They have to be able to learn to accept it. Otherwise, you're breaking down that gate more and more. And I know that breaking down barriers always sounds like a great thing in theory, because everyone should be free. But you need barriers for a reason. You need them, otherwise there is absolutely no protection. And these people are eager to tear it down, and they don't care about the damage that's going to come in later times. It's why it's actually important to consider a lot of what detransitioners say, although I have seen there being some very unreasonable people on that side as well who say, well, I didn't have gender dysphoria, therefore nobody does. And I think that's absolute bullshit. Just because they don't have it doesn't mean nobody else does.
Yeah, it comes to gatekeeping. I was thinking about this last night, about gatekeeping and what that kind of means. And I will say I don't hold the keys to that. But I've seen in one of your videos, you were talking about non-binary and what non-binary was and how you were saying non-binary is meaningless and that
it is.
For the word woman to mean something, it has to have something behind it.
Yeah.
How I kind of see it is non-binary, gender fluid, all that. It's almost there at like the gateway, and everybody's welcome at the gateway. But I think if you're transitioning in the way that we have, you've changed your name legally, you have went through a medical transition, you take hormones, you do all of that. There has to be a level there. And that's what I say. I don't hold the keys to this, but I went through that transition as faded as you have.
Yeah.
We transitioned to be women. That is what I would say. We transitioned to be women.
We did. I will say though, I don't care what's in someone's trousers. None of my business. But if you're going to come into the woman world, remember where you're going into and remember what is expected as a woman, trans or just normal, cis, whatever the label's gone on this week. It's like so bad. And it's like they forget, like people go into spaces that are protected by as a woman's space, and people go in there who have different religions, different beliefs. And now we're almost saying, you know what? Fuck it. We're letting everyone in. And if you don't like it, we'll get out. And that to me is so bullshit. It's like It's not professional, it's not courteous, and it's definitely not for the actual woman that you're saying you are.
Be considerate to women around you. I think another thing that I've kind of noticed recently as well, and this is maybe because I've been doing this a while, it seems to be a lot of the most vocal people, you'll read their biographies and they'll say, start a transition 2-3 years ago, and they're telling me how to do this. And I'm like, not really, because I walked this path way before you did. And I'm not saying that I was the first person ever to do it. I wasn't. But please don't tell, because I'm not going to tell them how they should transition. I always say to people, there's many different ways that you can transition. People do it differently.
Yeah.
But saying that because I do believe that you need to have gender dysphoria to be transgender, like I am. I'm not saying it's like another person. I'm just saying like me. And you get accused of this whole gatekeeping and true scum, and I hate all that.
And passing privilege.
Oh yeah, well, I embrace this stuff. I embrace it because, like, no, I treat it as a badge of honor. I might as well. I mean, going back to the points of the changing rooms, and that we're having these people who, you've said 2 or 3 years. I've seen people who have been less than 6 months telling people where they've not done a thing. They don't look in any way feminine. They don't dress in a sensible way, because a lot of these people have the idea that, to be a woman, you got to wear womanly things. But it's like that's not what it is at all. Like, you could be a woman and wear jeans and a t-shirt, but it has to, dress for what you are. In a way, like when you get these weirdos who are wearing like weird, massive polka dot dresses and big pearl necklaces, and you think, well, this is how ladies dress. Like you come in.
I have a polka dot dress.
Oh, I have a polka dot dress as well, but we both know that there are weird.
Who wears it best? I get what you're saying, and the thing is as well, people forget the perception of the outside world. They almost think it doesn't exist. But you'll agree as well as we do, there is a huge divide in society, not just our community, in society. And I hate the fact that any community, any part of the community, from gay, lesbian, race, is instantly labeled with the same stick because that other person acted like that. And for me, I have never physically got so angry that it's made me want to emotionally shout and scream. But when I saw a guy on Instagram recently in a delightful pink leather skirt with a beard telling me that he is a woman and straight men need to accept his woman penis, I was like, what? What? It's like me not telling my boyfriend, not having surgery, and just being like, hey, get your mouth round this, baby. What happened? Literally, if someone punched me for doing that, I'd be like, you know what? I kind of deserve that, because if a woman did that to me, literally, I'm going down there. I'm like, not feeling much. He's a small guy. Exactly. No, he hasn't got a small guy. He's got a vagina down there. What the fuck? I'd be annoyed. I'd be hurt. And my fucking anger could sometimes get control of me. And I don't think people realize that when you're doing that and saying, I'm this, it misrepresents me, you, and her in the worst way, because I have had people make judgment because of other things they've seen about me as a trans person. And I'm literally flabbergasted, because look, not that I'm any kind of pin-up, but the fact of the matter is I don't have a beard. I don't still have my genitalia. If I did, none of anyone's business anyway. And I genuinely don't understand why people can't accept, I always say this, there is a different sexuality for people with a penis who are presenting feminine with a guy who likes that. That's not them being straight and accepting your dick. That's not reality. That's a guy who likes a bit of both, but you need to accept him as much as he's accepting you, and not try and paint it off as he's a heterosexual guy that just embraces my balls. No heterosexual guy will embrace someone else's balls other than his own.
This is people trying to redefine what it is to be a woman when it isn't their place. I mean, it's not our place to redefine it. When we transition, we try and meet what what we expect as a woman, what society says as well. It's transition is always a two-way thing. It's half for you, so you can look in the mirror and be happy with what you see and be comfortable with it and accept it. But that means nothing as well if society doesn't see you in that way, because otherwise you're going to go out and constantly be called sir or mister or anything like that. And that ain't going to be fun for anyone. It isn't your job to turn around to society and say, actually, you need to change your idea of what a woman is to fit me. It's the entirely wrong mindset to have when you're transitioning. And unfortunately, our community, and I have to say our community, because whether I have a choice in it or not, I'm forced into it. You're forced into it as well. We all are. We don't have a say in it. Mm-hmm. And they are the ones saying to people, you have to change your idea because Barry over there has decided that he's actually Mary and he ain't doing anything. He might throw on a frock. But other than that, that's it. You got to accept his womanly beard. Don't call him a woman. Call him ma'am. Like, it's insane that is something which our community, when only now when the attention is on us, after it's been on gays, after it's been on all sorts of other groups, the attention is now firmly on us. And the first thing we're saying is one of the most insane things that no rational person is ever going to accept. No one will ever accept a man with a beard as a woman. Like when you have people like, what's his name? Alex Drummond, who says that he is a lesbian but he has a massive full-on beard. He's doing absolutely no medical transition. He just wears a skirt and he's invited into schools and says, well, you know, I'm a different kind of woman. And I don't respect him as a trans person. I will not use female pronouns because you've got to earn those pronouns. Having a beard all the way down to there, one which you're looking after so much, and you're telling me that you want people to refer to you as a woman? Like, that's how do you look in the mirror? How the hell are you okay with that? Like, they'll always then try and point at women who grow beards, but like, and that can happen, but there's often a medical reason as to why they do.
There's always a medical reason. There's
always
a medical reason.
It's like, there's another one. Trans women having periods and say, oh, well, some women don't have periods. Trans women don't have periods because we can't. Some women don't have periods because of other issues. It's a different kind of issue. I don't like how sometimes as trans people we impose ourselves on other women's things. Just kind of honing in what you were saying about like redefining terms. Yeah. I'm quite interested in the LGB Alliance, and I've asked them quite a few times, and they've never really answered me this. I was interested on your thoughts. Can transgender people really call themselves gay, straight, or bi? Or would somebody in the LGB Alliance, seeing me or Faye or yourself, who are trans women attracted to men, are we not just hyper-feminized men and we're on that kind of gay spectrum?
Yeah, so...
really answered that. I was just interested on your thoughts on it.
Yeah, so the way that the LGB Alliance would generally see it is being like they will try and butter it as much as they can. The truth is that they would see us as gay men. That's my understanding from speaking with people who are members of it. I mean, a lot of them will still respect pronouns and stuff, but ultimately deep down, that's what they see. Fair enough, they're entitled to have that view and kind of fight for it. But I've always found it a bit weird when it comes to the point of, can you say a trans woman could be a lesbian or a trans man can be gay? And first of all, it would be difficult for me to make that argument because I'm not interested in women in that way. So it doesn't affect me one way or the other, just to make that completely clear. But you kind of see that label being abused, and I see that being abused a lot. The trans women, so to speak, and I'm going to do the inverted things there. The trans women,
we were so in sync.
Everyone knows. I mean, the trans women who usually will often run off and say, "I am a transbian, I am a lesbian." Not many of them have actually done a lot in way of their transition. I'm going to be completely honest. These are people who are often early years. They're people who are often quite rough. They're people who do not really look feminine. and they are the ones who label themselves as a trans being. And so do you feel comfortable calling someone who really gives off masculine energy as being a woman? Like, I've met some of these people. I met one who apparently had transitioned like decades ago, still gave off very, very masculine vibes. And do I feel comfortable referring to that person as a lesbian? Probably not. I mean, nowadays we're being told by the queer community in a weird way that, you know, labels don't matter. And this is coming from a community that is obsessed with labels, that will label people having any kinds of interest, you know, any kind of interest in any kind of thing. It could be a kink, and they'll still call it a sexuality. So they love labels, but they will tell you at the same time, get rid of labels.
Don't label me. Don't label me.
Yeah, don't label me, whilst they have a big sticker on their chest saying what their pronouns are.
Z.
I
am a Z. I am a Z. I'm a queer.
I'm people saying that they are representing our community because they've changed their bio in their YouTube.
Pronouns in the bio.
It's like, oh yes, you're definitely part of the community. Welcome.
Funnily enough, your name is a pronoun. Faye and phase and Faye is actually a pronoun. I read that.
It is.
I've got my own pronoun.
I want Jossies and Jossas and Josses or something.
It would have to be spelled. I think it's spelled FAE, but you know that you could make the argument to change that to a Y. Or you'd have to, because it's a weird thing with announcing your pronouns, because you're telling people how to refer to you when you're not in the room.
I hope my face is my pronouns.
Yeah.
If my face isn't screaming my pronouns, I'm doing something wrong. As a woman, not anything else. And what people always get shocked with me, because like when I first realized I was transgender, mine was a complete basis of sexualness. Sounds so bizarre. It wasn't like, I want that dress, I'll dress up in my sister's clothes, which a lot of stories you hear. But mine was a sexual preference. When I was intimate with someone and it was with another guy and I was asked to do the guy things, I was like, whoa, I don't want to do that. And it made me feel so like awkward. But I started feeling more comfortable when I was like wearing a bit of makeup, etc., etc. And that was my realization. But I don't ever get offended if someone goes, oh, so you were a gay guy. I'm like, well, of course I was a gay guy. I was a gay guy at that point. Yeah. And what struggles me is so many people come at us because they're like, no, I was never a guy or a girl. I'm always a trans woman or a or whatever. And I just think, no, you weren't. Like we went to a club once and got kicked out because we tried to explain to one person who was literally referring to herself as an alien, and while our mum and dad had a nervous breakdown next to her, that wasn't okay because they have memories of you as a little girl and you're almost burning them in front of their eyes because they've got to accept you as Susie the red elephant. And it's just like, wow, what on earth is our society breeding?
No, I absolutely agree. It's that whole thing of like when you say assigned male at birth, assigned female at birth. Like, no, you were male. I mean, you still are male. Like, you can't change your biology in that way. You grew up as a boy. You did not grow up as a girl. You had very different experiences. And we all know that boys and girls have different experiences. I mean, it's one of the things that shapes us as trans women. The fact that we grew up as boys. Exactly. And that's nothing to be ashamed of, but at the same time, it is awkward for us to talk about. I mean, you can acknowledge both of those things at the same time. Like, whenever I talk about my childhood, I try and avoid mentioning anything boyish as much as I can, but it doesn't change the fact that there was boyish things in there, that I was with boys. I mean, I was with the lads, so to speak. Like,
that was mine.
Yeah, like a lot of us were, because a lot of us had different ways of dealing with gender dysphoria when we were young. Like, we had to deal with it. But eventually,
we wouldn't be who we are if we hadn't been on that journey. But now there's so many different labels. I mean, what do you actually even think about the label cisgender? Like, oh, that cis man and that cis woman. Yeah. I do not understand why that's suddenly a thing, because it wasn't when I was transitioning. No, it doesn't need to be. That's a man, that's a woman. It was like mad.
I can kind of get why the term exists. The problem that I have with it is the amount that it is used and often the way that it is used. Yeah. So it's fair to have like a distinction between a cis woman and a trans woman. But the way but cis is used a lot more than it should be. It's used when people are saying, I am a cis-het white woman, as a way of, just outlining all of their privileges. And like that's a whole other kettle of fish. I mean, one of the big things of my channel, and one of the whole reasons why I started it, is I'm very, very anti-identity politics. I think it is a cancer on the modern world. But most of the time people come across cis in the first instance is it's almost used as an insult. Like, I've come across so many people who say things like fuck cis people, fuck cis scum, all of this kind of stuff. And they use it as an insult. Shut up, cis het, all of that kind of thing. And then when people get offended by this new word that they've only seen being used as an insult, they then kind of step back and think, well, why are you upset at this word? Like, it just isn't a slur or anything. It's like, well, that's funny because you use it as a slur all the time. So, of course, people are going to use it as a slur. And I try not to use it. I mean, I will do in context of things, but that's very rare in itself. And when I have used it in context, I have still upset people. But then I think, well, you're an idiot because you don't understand what context is. I think the term is almost redundant. I think that a trans woman is someone who is like, it's fair to say we are abnormal women. I mean, when you think of a woman, being born with a penis is not the first thing that you think of. And that's fine. That's fine to not be normal.
Yeah.
Like, and that's, when we talk about things like, reproductive rights and stuff, I mean, they had Monroe Bergdorf a couple of years ago crying about how women's rights movement, like marches, were talking about reproductive rights because she said it was ignoring trans women who don't have uteruses. Like, okay, but even then, we have the 99.9% of all women do have an uterus. So I think it's fair to say that is something you associate women with.
Exactly. And we're just reading through the comments here, and one comment which kind of just jumped out to me is where intersex people kind of fit in with trans, because intersex is something I don't really understand it, and it's not a path or a journey that I will ever gone down. My reasons for transitioning, my whole way I was born, blah blah blah, is different to an intersex person. I do wonder though how they can kind of fit into the trans world if they identify as trans and being intersex.
I think they're both separate things.
I do as well. I really do.
I don't think it doesn't have any bearing on your gender identity, so to speak. I mean, hell, I could be intersex for all I know. I mean, they are. It is very, unless it's something really, really obvious, it's quite hard to really tell whether someone is intersex or not. But whether I am or I'm not,
as a species as well, not just as a transgender or
absolutely.
Anyone can have a uterus, or anyone can have a high testosterone. Almost people with polycystic ovaries, because of a thing, and they grow a beard, technically, in a weird way, could be an intersex.
Yeah.
But then that crosses over into the world of, as you've seen at the moment, is sport and how people are transitioning, but then being in the sport industry. My opinion on that, first of all, is if you've transitioned and your gender, and you've done like hormones, you're getting rid of or whatever, or you've completely stopped testosterone, then if you're the best, smash it. But if you're going to put a scrunchie in your hair and be like, hey, I'm Sarah, I transitioned last week, and then beat everyone, get out. You're not allowed to do that, because that is a massive unfair advantage, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would kind of disagree if it's just a case of you've taken hormones, you've taken them for a couple of years, but you still kind of grew up with a lot of testosterone in your system. And the reason for that is that does build muscle mass. It does build, change the way in which your bone density is, and that can't really be reversed. It's a bit different if you are transitioning young. But that in itself is its whole own controversy, and it's one which I've repeatedly stated I don't even know where I 100% stand when it comes to young people transitioning.
Same,
But
discussing that.
it's a very difficult subject. But I mean, I would often just voice err on the side of caution that people shouldn't be transitioning.
If someone wants to transition young, do the things that aren't permanent, because it's almost like dressing up for some children. They want to be. My nephew was a monkey last week, and like, I'm not going to turn him into a monkey. Like, do you know what I mean?
I have no problem with like a boy wearing a dress. Like, I definitely lean conservative in a lot of ways, but I don't give a shit about traditional stuff, as it were. Like, I'm quite a weird conservative in that way. But that's its own whole story. When it comes to like trans athletes, though, I think a lot of the people who you see as trans athletes are ones who a lot of them don't transition until they're in their late 20s, when they've already built up a lot of muscle mass. A lot of them have competed in the sports that they are now playing in as trans, and a lot of them have been quite poor athletes in it. There's one particular, I can't remember, her name is Cece Telfer, I think it is, where she was ranking like 350th, 400th when she was in the men's. But then she becomes a tranner. And at that point, she jumps right to the top of the leaderboard. And
it's the trans card, Rose.
Yeah.
The trans card is a valuable card to have, because I've pulled it out many times. Just as we've seen recently, pull it out, you get out of prison for like you'll get out of jail.
Yes.
Yeah. That is literally, it's got me seething at the core that someone can go, I'm not a threat to society now because I'm a woman. And it's like, what? Like, no, that is not like how it works. And the fact that the system is feeding that, like, yes, we love you, yeah. It's like wrong.
And then it just backfires on us.
And then it hurts us. Hurts us.
And it just gets me really, really
all we need is someone to transition, get released from prison, and go and rape 6 kids, and then we'll realize that was a bad mistake. And people don't get that is what's on the cards. I mean, recently we've been looking more into, after last year's show, of the pedosexuals, the new labels for actual pedophiles. If we start feeding everyone with, yes, you can do that. Yes, sir. No problem, mom. Whatever you want to be. We are going to live in a world where people are literally getting away with murder by just saying, well, you know what? I identify as being trans, or I'm non-binary. So, you know, oh, little me. And I just think, no, if you've done the crime, regardless of your gender, get to prison and serve your time. You horrible bastard.
Yeah, and that will go into...
It feels very strongly about it.
No. I think a lot of us do. And I want to touch on the trans prisons thing in a second. But just to kind of clarify, I know that you feel a lot strongly about this. I think a lot of trans people feel very strongly about this. But there aren't enough of us speaking out against this. Whenever you get people like us, like, look at Blair White as a fantastic example of this. Like, I can't think of anyone who's any critical trans woman who's done more for the community than her. I am absolutely honored to be a friend. And when you see the gay LGBTQIA press talk about her, they always talk about her as though she's really controversial, she's really problematic. I guarantee there are a lot more people who agree with Blair White than agree with ContraPoints. Can I agree with Kat Black, that agree with like Chase Ross, with all of these very cookie cutter progressives out there. A lot more people align with Blair. And I'm not saying in terms of political viewpoints. I mean, Blair is a conservative. Blair, as far I think she's the Trump supporter. Like, I don't think everyone in the trans community is going to be like more Trump supporters.
She weirdly dropped us a message the other day and just said, we'll try and do a show one time, which we thought, you know what? That was actually a little bit of a concrete for us, because we felt, you know what we're saying is clearly the correct message that should be getting out there.
Yeah.
Because if someone like yourself and Blair can be talking about coming on our show like you have, it also makes us and gives us, weirdly enough, validation.
It kind of does.
Yeah.
Well, Blair is very good at that. Like Blair, like one of the things that I've kind of found as a YouTuber is a lot of the people who I've been watching over the last couple of years have been on YouTubers who I have respected for a long time. Like just to list off a couple of names: Sargon of Akkad, Count Dankula, Short Fat Otaku, Academic Agent, Jacqueline Glenn. There's lots of people who I've been watching for years, and now I can say that I'm friends with them. Like a lot of these people are like, they're not egotistical in the slightest, and it's one of the good things about when you do these more kind of social commentary channels, that people are very grounded in general. They're willing to have conversations with people because it's important to get the message out.
How long were you
that's
silent
important
for, Rose?
I'm sorry?
How long have you been almost silenced by others for? Because we have literally over the years been told your opinion's wrong.
Yes.
You're banished from the community. You're not welcome here. And it was I literally walked away from the community with Justin and just went, you know what? Screw you. Yeah. We'll be fine on our own. We don't need your kind of validation that we're doing something right. Because we've transitioned fully. We do not get harassed in the street. I am not trying to make straight men suck my female penis. I am not wearing a beard and masquerading in a women's office or changing room, regardless of their sexuality, gender, or religion, and going, fuck off. This is me. I transitioned. I became a woman. I became fair, first of all. And now I'm happy to help others. But how come I'm being silenced and you're being silenced and Jossie's being silenced and Blair's only not being silent because America is a bigger place than the UK as we do. And I just feel like if me and you and more people like us can get more people watching, hopefully we can create a change. But if we don't all support each other, which is the big divide in the community, never going to happen.
No, I agree. It is important for all of us to have that voice out there. I mean, it's interesting looking at my YouTube channel in a way, because a lot of the people who I associate with are more of what would have previously been referred to as the skeptic community. But now I'm getting a lot of, I know this probably might sound a little bit egotistical. I'm going to try not sounding ego, but I've been getting a lot of subscribers. I've been getting a lot of views, and I get a lot of messages from trans people who say, like, thank you for putting this voice out there. And like, in a way, there's so many of us who feel like this. I've made so many friends. I've made so many contacts. I've made, like, you know, it's important that people recognize that they're not alone. We're being monopolized by a particular point of view, one which has a grip on our community. I don't know how deep you guys want me to go into that point, so I'll probably just kind of lay off. But suffice to say that there is a weird level of control as to what it is that we talk about. And as someone who is involved in the London queer community for a while, I can certainly attest to that, where being non-binary was almost a pandemic, where in a room, like when I first started hanging around with people in the queer community, I was the only trans person. And then all of a sudden a non-binary person would turn up, and then someone, and there were multiple. All of a sudden people were catching the NBs. Everyone had it, and they wouldn't do anything. They wouldn't change. They wouldn't like medically transition. They wouldn't change their appearance. They would just use a new pronoun. That was literally it. This would affect so many people. And I would used to chat with my old housemates about it and how strange all of this was. And you would always get the impression that, you know, you speak out against this, that's it. You're cut off. You are a problematic person. I mean, you would speak to people in private, and they would agree with you. They would really agree with you. Like, there was one person who I remember having a conversation with, and I remember this because he is like a fairly hardcore anarcho-communist. Anyone who watches my channel knows that I absolutely detest communism in all forms, but we got on really, really well. And I remember having a conversation with him about this, and he actually thanked me for speaking out against this. And then an NB walked into the room, everyone shut up. No one would speak out against it. And the breaking point for me came over 2 years ago when there was a Facebook post about how all genders are valid. Every single gender identity out there is valid. And for some reason, that kind of set me off a little bit. And I was like, okay, I'm going to test this. So I went onto the big list of genders and pulled out a couple of them at random. And I also added moon gender in there. So like, you know, you're identifying as the moon. And I was like, okay, so what about trigender? What about moon gender? What about this gender that says that your gender is like water? Like, are these as valid as I am? Thinking that I would get a response saying, well, no, that's just trolls. That's just trolls. That's not what I'm talking about. I had about 4 people respond saying, no, these are all valid genders. One of them is valid. And I was like, okay, so what the hell is moon gender? How do you transition into being a trigender person? And the only response
is, have you ever seen the I think it's a couple of drag queens and it's like a music video taking the mick out of I'm a lamp. Like being
yes,
that was for me the best way to go. Fuck off, guys.
I love it. I love it when drag queens rip into this stuff. Like there's Myra Dubois in London who will occasionally like just really kind of scathingly take shots at the NB community. Like she'll come on stage and she'll be like, ladies and gentlemen and the people of the non-binary persuasion, because we've now got to all bend the knee. Like it's just kind of like a part of her act. And it's like, I love that a drag queen is actually stepping up against this kind of stuff. But when I was going back to the argument I was having with these people, I kept on saying, what is it? What is a trigender transition? How do you transition to being 3 genders at once? And one of the people kept on telling me, no, I've got to respect it. And then I knew the response I was going to get. And so I pulled out my kind of ace in the hole, which is when you play the identity card, because I knew this was coming. And I was like, oh, well, it's interesting that a cis person is telling a trans person what being non-binary, what being trans is. There's almost a word for this. It's cis-splaining. I knew what was coming, which was an instant, actually, I'm non-binary. And I'm like, you'd literally, and I was like, you've literally done nothing. You're perfectly spherical, but you don't actually identify as the moon.
They moved their hair
and dyed it pink
to the side.
Yes.
I'm non-binary. It's like, what?
It's always that. And that was trigger point for me because I was like, fuck it. They don't respect me. I'm burning all the bridges. I'm starting my fucking YouTube channel at long last. I've been wanting to do it for years. Especially when the skeptic community was at its height around the 2016. But I'd always been kicking myself that I didn't do anything. And eventually I thought, that is, if I don't do it now, then this is going to get even worse and worse and worse. And then I started my channel.
That's why we've started this again. We've really honed in on doing this and trying to get all avenues covered, like where we go live, etc. And engaging with people like yourself, because as you say, if you have friends in the community like we are, like me and Jossie would love to come on your show and talk to your audience and your people and give our opinions so we can spread a bigger message. And I think that's what seems to be happening. A few people have contacted us and been like, oh, come on our show.
Well, let's do that. Yeah.
If we mix together, we can get this message concrete. Not that we're like the bosses, because we're not.
And I was saying we don't.
But for the people who want to grow up and be just like us,
I would not want to.
There should be somewhere they can hone in, excuse all the other bullshit, and go, right, what's Dawn, Faye, and Jossie, and Blair, and the rest of the gang saying? Okay, that's great.
Yes.
They're speaking for me.
And it's annoying.
Yeah.
Well, I'll definitely have you guys on my show.
Oh, thank you.
I'll definitely do that. That's not a problem. Because I'm really, honestly, right now, I've been having really bad problems with exhaustion over the last couple of weeks, but I'll honestly say I'm glad that I've come on this. So, I'll definitely have you guys on. That's not a problem. I mean, I've had a lot of people on my show, but I'm always glad to I would love to be able to kind of promote some people who need that, who
like-minded people and share.
Yeah, well, that's it, because
we're not being heard.
Yeah, to show people that these kinds of viewpoints that I have. I mean, I definitely have unique points that people aren't making, but there are other people out there who are critical of this, trans people specifically. Like, I can think of quite a few who are very good at critiquing this kind of thing. And it's important to let people know they are not alone. Yeah. Because even if you just have like the one big name in the community doing it, you just think, well, she's an exception or he's an exception. But when you can show that actually there's a lot of us that are doing this, that helps people open up. It helps them realize that actually they're not alone. And if we are to completely, overhaul the way that the trans community is seen, we need to speak up, because the people who are screeching the loudest are the ones who are in control. And right now, this is the
girls with beards.
It's the girls with
the so-called girls with beards. And like, not saying none of them I respect as trans women at all. I refer to them with male pronouns because they have not earned their pronouns. I ask for at least minimum effort, and these people don't even put that in. And I
put a lip balm on, put a bit of eyeliner on,
put a bit of something on, put on some lip. Yeah, so like, it's not even so much just put on some makeup, but remove your fucking beard. Remove your beard.
That is the best thing. Don't wear makeup. Just shave the beard off, please.
Shave the beard as an absolute minimum. Or you end up with people like Danielle Moscato, who ends up being, damn it, I can't remember what her name is. Really, really woke Hollywood actress who used to be, who's British. She's on The Good Life. She tweeted out this.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Jamila Jamil. Yeah. So she tweeted out a list of on International Women's Day of all these really inspiring women. One of them is Danielle Moscato, who, if people don't know who Danielle Moscato is a fat guy with a beard. He's bald, and he just doesn't do any effort in his transition at all, except for occasionally wearing a do-rag on his head. And he doesn't put in any effort because, well, he's got to spend all his time fighting for minority rights and stuff. And he just sleeps on people's couches. And like, even if he has medical problems, which mean that he can't medically transition, he can at least do other things. Like, I'm not saying you have to completely medically transition if you want to earn my respect, but you've got to at least put in some effort. This guy just kind of like couch surfs all the time, turns up with a Black Lives Matter t-shirt, and is like, that's enough. Like, when you've got like
it's the lack of effort that really gets me, because I literally said recently, if that's how easy it was, I wouldn't have went through hours of a laser therapy treatment and electrolysis if it was just okay to have a beard. Yeah. I wouldn't have went through 4 different gender surgeries, because I was a moon, then I was a cat, then I was joking. No, but I mean, I had complications. I wouldn't have done that if it was just going to be okay to just not. Because for me, it was a bloody long journey. I'm still on it. It's hard. It's painful. We're just about to do a show as well about post-op aftercare.
Yeah.
Especially dilation, which many people won't even know what that is. But bitch ain't pretty. It's not part of your sex life. It's not sexy.
It sucks.
And we don't think that's talked about enough. So that's like our next thing.
Yeah, it isn't.
With your input on that.
Yeah, it's the whole sort of like, you just cast aside once you post-op, and it's going back to that whole thing. The loudest people at the moment in the community seem to be the ones who've only transitioned a year or 2 ago. I think another thing which I think is absolutely crazy, these people, they call themselves woke, they call themselves liberal, but they're the most angry, they're the most kind of violent, they're the ones that say, punches a turf in the throat and all this. Then I say the people that hate us aren't really saying that to us. It's so mad. And this is a thing with me personally, like politically. Years ago, I would have said I was the most liberal left-wing person you could have met. And the older I'm getting, I'm just finding myself getting
Getting
more
more with the rights.
Like,
Yeah.
whoa, what is happening here?
You're getting more red pills. You get more red pills as you get older. And what I think is interesting, people's ideas of what liberalism is usually completely wrong. I mean, they seem to think, well, liberal is that, you accept all of these kinds of people and stuff. Well, you can accept people and lean on the right as well. I mean, one of my big political awakenings was the realization that the right is not this hate-filled ideology, that a lot of it is about individualism. It's about self-determination. It's about responsibility. And when I woke up to that and realized that has nothing to do with my gender identity or anything like that, that was when my kind of worldview kind of flipped almost. And now I've recently started to kind of black pill myself almost when I did a recent video on the left's bigotry, when they will call you, and no doubt you guys have been called this as well, things like TERF, true scum, quisling, bootlicker.
I did a BBC like little clip with a radical feminist. I'll share it with you later. And it was so like it was mad because she literally turned on to me when she went, well, you're an abomination. I was like, what?
But then some things she said
some things I agreed with, and then some things she agreed with, and she even came off camera and went, I have a different opinion about people like yourself. And I was like, oh, are you going to share that? And she went, no. And I was like, well, what was the point in you coming and learning anything? You've learned this information to keep to yourself, to not even try and make a difference. Go away. And it was like the biggest waste of time I'd ever done.
But at least she changed her opinion somewhat, even if she wasn't going to outright share it. I mean, as a long-term thing, that's kind of like a crack in the armor. And you put yourself forward to have that conversation. That should be, that should be respected. That's what people should be doing. And you can't expect to outright change people's opinions in the space of an hour, the space of a conversation. These things always take time. So that's a great thing, which you did. If you were able to get someone to start thinking a little bit differently. It's only these little things, but the modern day activist demands change right now. Like, they demand people to instantly change the way in which they think and feel and understand the world. And that is not the way life works. I mean, as I've been mentioning throughout the stream, like 10 years ago, very little was really even known about the trans community, even what it was. It would often be on kind of sensationalized TV shows, often ones about sex change surgery and that kind of thing. I mean, when I was starting my transition, there was very little in the mainstream media about it. And now, like, I run an entire YouTube series detailing the amount of stories that come out about the trans community. And there's so many every single week. Every week there's something to talk about.
Every day, Rose.
Every day.
Every single day, I can literally go into a workplace that I'm working in that day, and I will know if that person has read that stupid, ridiculous story, because you can see that almost instantly wanting my opinion on it. And I just think, like, literally, you're just judging me by what you've read. Don't do that. We're not all the same. And that's where it comes to. We're not all the same. We all look different. We all act different. We're all happy with certain levels of transition in our body.
Yeah.
And we all should be accepted. But when you start affecting the rest of us and not taking account for yourself, it really screws us up. Our last question today was actually, what do you want to ask us? But we're going to take you up on that invitation to your show, and we can talk about it all then.
Yeah,
how does that sound?
That's not a problem. Like, my streaming schedule is a bit erratic, but
you just give us the date, and we'll try and work with your date.
I'll try and get a few people on, and we'll try and do a big thing.
Cool. Well, guys, we just want to thank you from everyone watching.
You so much for
Thanks for joining us. You've been so great. I can't wait to come on your show with Jossie and kind of be in your world. But thank you once again.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks for having me on. It's been a lot.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, well, ladies and gentlemen.
That was food for thought.
Food for thought, but now it's time for glamorous makeup. We're off to Laura for our fantastic transformation.
We do everything on this show. We can go from front back.
Hi!
Hello.
We've been watching since I brought Shannon to I've been watching live, and we've both been like absolutely bricking it.
So welcome to our show, Laura. first of all, introduce yourself, and then we're going to sit back and let you tell us everything, and we will jump in and ask many questions.
Perfect. So I'm Laura. I've been doing makeup for, well, obviously bad makeup since I was in school. Professional makeup for a few years, nearly 3, I think. I worked for a home studio in the northeast of Lincolnshire, so Grimsby, Cleethorpes area, and it's not the most diverse area, but I qualified as a teacher last year, and my thesis was on how trans makeup should be included on the curriculum for FE and HE makeup courses. As all gender issues are becoming mainstream, they should be included on curriculum, so there's people out there that can reach out and learn to do their makeup in the correct way to basically, if you guys say pass, so they don't feel like they can't go out their face. They can if they want, but if they want to know how to do the makeup, they can go somewhere affordable, not pay the outrageous prices people are paying to do so. Like, it's not a specialism, it's a right. Like, it should not be charged as a specialism like bridal. It's not the same thing at all. I charge the same prices. It's something I'm passionate about. And I've been doing the makeup for B Wood, who was Miss Transgender UK, a few times, like TV appearances and things. So that's how I got into it. I literally researched it for her benefit. And yeah, I've been doing it ever since, and trying to go into colleges and do master classes on it and stuff. So
well, that is fantastic. So today you're going to show us all about feminization of from M to F in transition. I'm going to nip to the loo because I've been dying for a toilet for 2 hours. I will let you start and leave you in the capable hands of.
Thank you. I'm going to zoom on in a little bit. So this is Shannon. So far, if you like to finish your eyes with me. So far, we've done a copper eye, little half cut crease, nothing too dramatic, more natural, glowy, bit of glam. We're going to add lashes at the end, and that's only because I think makeup isn't done like to go out if you don't have a lash. It's a bit like a cake without an icing or a topping. It's just wrong. So we're going to add a lash. I haven't got lashes on because I'm not extra on a day-to-day basis, but we're going to do that. So for base, we're going to start off by colour correcting. This is actually really affordable. This is a sleek colour corrector palette. So you get 6 different shades, and it's going to reflect really badly off my ring light. But basically, this is the orange shade. And if you use a red, or it can be a red lipstick if you want. Any dark shadows, even under your eyes, if you have bags, tiredness, whack the red or the orange underneath. Any hot shadow, anything like that. Orange, red will work, and then you just got to layer your base on top. You can kind of see the colours a bit better now. So I'm going to go in this orange. If it's not thick enough, I'll go in the red lipstick. Basically, well, how I start everything. So I'm using a Real Technique face brush. You can get these in Super Sugar Boots. I use it because it's quite dense, and I always press product into the skin rather than brush it over. So this palette is red. This is the only colour I really use. And the green, because I get breakouts, and green cancels your redness. So if you're ever stuck on colours, go on Google, look at your colour wheel, and if your spot is red, look opposite and they'll be green, so you know what to cancel out. It's always the opposite. So we're going to start by patting this on. It's quite thick. It's like a concealer. And we're going to put it on any darkness whatsoever. So when you put your base over the top, there shouldn't be any shadowing or anything. So I literally got into this because B asked if I did trans makeup, and I said, no, I do not. When do you need me to learn by? And she was like, about 2 weeks. I was like, I'm going to do some research. And I was still a student at the time. And I was so nervous. I booked her in for a 3-hour slot because I was that nervous. It did not take me 3 hours. But she was off on TV, so I was absolutely bricking it. She was off to do a news interview, so I was like, I've got to do TV makeup, and I don't know how to do it. And when I went onto YouTube, I realised there's actually very little pre-surgery, like or pre-fillers and stuff, makeup tutorials for the trans community. Everyone's had fillers, everyone's had their nose done.
Yeah.
There's nothing pre-surgery, and I was like, this is helpful for nobody. So I mixed them all together and did it myself.
Yeah, and I kind of think as well, like almost at the beginning of somebody's transition, makeup is important at the beginning of somebody's transition. So the fact that you're showing people how to do it who are maybe at the start of their transition, I think is absolutely fantastic. I wish you'd been around. when I needed you all those years ago.
Feel that.
I mean, I've been here. Nobody wanted my makeup about 5 years ago. Let's just put that out there. Like, I can dig up pictures of me in Leeds looking very questionable.
Pictures
Questionable as well, don't worry.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm literally like, what was I think? That eyeshadow wasn't blended. Like, blend. Yeah, just
blend
no.
is your friend, as they say.
I said, if in doubt, blend it out is my thing.
Exactly.
That's literally like my life. That's what I told my students all last year.
Just touching on what you mentioned before, because I've worked in the makeup industry, and I was able to open a very large department stores doors to trans people coming in, being very comfortable to get their makeup done. But there was still a sense of animosity and rejection from the other counters. And I was literally like so confused. I was like, they've come to spend money, but you're going to have a problem. And it's such a bad issue that these makeup counter girls, I always call them dolly mollies, are almost, they make you feel uncomfortable because they are so turned out. And then you'll see them giving the generic woman this great attention, and you come in and they're almost like, what do I do? And you think, what, you're not trained in this? You're not prepared for this? It's bizarre because we are a big community. We are going into stores. We are spending our money, but they don't even know how to look after us correctly.
This is my biggest pet peeve. Like, I did my interviews with other lecturers. So I had to do 2 interviews for my thesis. I did 3. I interviewed B, and she's openly happy for me to share that she was one of them. The other 2 have to remain anonymous because they're members of staff. One was a HE practitioner on a kind of a bit of a different makeup kind of course. The other one is a beauty teacher and teaches makeup too. Been in the industry a long time, cruise ships, fashion week, that kind of thing. Very different opinions on all counts. The male HE teacher was very much like, I don't understand why it can't be a 1 or 2 week crash course. Like, just needs to be 2 lessons and you've got it down. It's they learn facial structure in HE to create characters and stuff like that. So they know how to alter that facial structure, but that should be taught in FE. So anybody on a makeup course can quickly go, that anatomy is slightly different. I need to do this. This, scrap the contour. It's all about cream highlight. And that's the difference. Everyone thinks, let's contour till our life, it depends on it. No, not unless you want to look like a drag queen. Do not.
Exactly. And we don't always want to look like a drag queen,
which isn't always about
drag queen.
For every day, I used to go and get my makeup done a lot at MAC, and I would come out and have to tone it down because literally I was like this sparkly, and I'm like, I'm going to a charity event. Why do I look like Priscilla, Queen of the Desert? Like, seriously. And it was okay for some of my events, but for my normal events, I was like, I don't even want eyelashes on, like, tone it right down. What do you mean? You're fabulous. And I was like, why are you talking to us like, what is going on? There is no understanding of a trans woman trying to get makeup applied and not walk out the store looking like she's been working in the store for 20 years and applied every comment there.
And type in facial feminization makeup, M2F makeup, drag tutorials. No. That's not what it's about. If they want drag tutorials, it's going to be a drag tutorial. If you want to pass, you want to like me walking down the street, accept me without makeup because I like a crackhead without makeup. So you want to look healthy, glowy, and natural, and nobody question or even double take. That's the aim. That's not just if you're having the bold makeup, which is my thing. I wear bold makeup 90% of the time. I'm bothering to wear it, and people stare at me. So I can't imagine what it's like if you to go bold and not be cis, you know.
Absolutely.
Cis. Like, the next product is literally a revolution product, by the way. It's the Conceal and Define Concealer in shade C1. So I'm going to cream highlight with this, and the normal places you see in every makeup tutorial, plus a bit extra. And I've changed the way I did this. Normally I do foundation and then this. Watch the Scott Barnes tutorial on Tatty Beauty this week. I've changed the way I do my makeup, so we're going to incorporate a bit of that. So he's a fine artist before makeup. It's about layers. So we're going to do layers. So highlight underneath, put your shadows underneath, pack on your base, add powders. And it looks a lot neater. I've been doing it myself. So shade C1, really pale. You need 2 shades lighter, unless you want it really dramatic. Go 3 shades. I wouldn't advise that bright, but that's what some people like. So we're going to go under the eyes, which is the same for absolutely everybody. And I go side of the nose. And you're basically like Rafiki from The Lion King for a hot minute. Like, I'm not going to lie. That is the goal. Like, mum walks in and is like, is that how you rough out? I'm like, 100%. And then in anatomy, like anyone who's a male sex has a forward. My cat's breaking into my room 1 minute. Get out. Out.
We've got problems.
We've got gremlins breaking it. So obviously, like, I don't really have a brow bone at all. Like, it's completely flat, and that's for most like born females. Anyone who's born with a male bone structure mostly have a more prominent brow bone. So you want to highlight across the brow, down the nose. So with a cream or liquid product, basically, so the light reflects off and makes it appear flat, instead of creating a shadow and making it stand out more. So that's just the reason. That's why when we watch even drag, RuPaul's head is so much lighter in the centre, but it looks perfectly flat. But then when he walks into the workroom with no makeup on, he doesn't have that same flawless forehead. That's basically what we're aiming for. So literally, messy as you want, it's going to get blended out anyway. At the centre of the nose, the tip. And then I always put the W under here.
Is there any way we can zoom in a little bit?
I can bring you closer. I don't know how
as well.
Look how beautiful this is now. And then if you want to turn your head that other way, thank you. And then we're going to go underneath. So whereas you'd normally contour here, we're going to highlight under first.
Okay.
Just like this. So it looks crazy.
And do you think it can be done with any product, or does it have to be a certain brand, or because a lot of people can't afford it, you know what I mean?
Concealer, white concealers, anything like this will work. I use this because it's pretty much full coverage and it's a rip off of Shape Tape by Tarte. It's cheaper. This is the super size at £7. The normal size is £4, so it's super affordable. And it's Makeup Revolution, so it's cruelty free. And then I'm using a Peaches and Cream brush, which is the PCO4 brush, which is classed as a large face brush, I think, but I'm into P. Louise's tutorials. I sit and watch them for hours, and they use massive brushes basically to pack product into the skin, and it gets that better coverage than if you were to use a sponge or the swirling motion. You want to proper pack it in. It makes it sink.
Fingers?
You can use a finger if you want. It warms the product up. You'll see when I do foundation, I always put it on the back. You can see from me doing eyes if my light calms down like me.
I do prefer doing my own face with my fingers. I feel like it sits better, it settles better, and all these bloody expensive brushes out there, I sometimes feel like they're a hindrance rather than a plus.
Charlotte Tilbury is the biggest advocate for using your fingers for eye makeup and all sorts. I personally use too many colours on clients myself to not be able to do that. Like, I prefer to use a brush. Whenever I use my fingers, I feel like I'm going back to Dream Up Mousse days. I just feel like I can't deal. Bad memories and all that from school.
Dream Up Mousse, good old times.
Where it all began.
That, how it became famous, I have no idea. How that became the thing to wear, I don't know. And I'm literally pressing this into the skin. If you want even more full coverage, get the P. Louise base and use it as concealer over the foundation, because their base, their eyeshadow base, is like the thickest concealer ever, and I regularly use it for night out makeup. You want to open it?
That's a good tip.
Yeah, and as long as you pat it and then set it with like either another foundation, like a powder foundation like MAC or whatever, or an actual powder, you're good. But this is stuff I learned how to do basic makeup, and then I went home and practiced a million different ways, so I found my way, and my way changes every other week. because I watch way too many videos. And I'm going to try it that way. And that's just how it ends up becoming crazy.
I also think as well, a big thing about makeup, especially as a trans woman, the right colour foundation really, really matters. If you go
foundation that's swatched on you in store, walk out into the street,
yes,
open your camera and check what freaking colour you are. That's where
I came out of Phoenix before looking like a different race. Like that's not good. If I'm literally changing race rather than gender, that's a bit of a dodgy one for me.
Yeah, like I've been to FedEx in Newcastle. I
They're
bought
lighting, not.
Yeah, it's the same here, like House of Fraser, Debenhams, whatever. Nah, you can't rely on it. Harvey Nichols, absolutely. I go to Fenty and Harvey Nichols in Leeds, and to get my Fenty Beauty. And I went in there and got shade test. I was like, can I try 3 shades, please? They were like, what? I was like, just trust me. I said, I'm going to walk out and I'll be back in 5 minutes. I sat on a bench outside waiting for it to oxidize. I was like this on my phone, looking at the 3 swatches on my face, and I was like, I am that shade. And I went into they've got it in Hull now, in Hull Boots. So I went there on Sunday and got the shade dark when I got fake tan on. And I was like to her, what's the yellow base? Like the yellow tone that's darker than the one I already wear. She was like, oh, it's the one I'm wearing. I was like, right, I need a lot of fake tan. Okay. I was like, cool. But yeah, it's one of them where you want to just match, and it's a process. Not every brand will have your match. You want to, and the other thing is a lot of people aren't trained in undertones. Only some people can see undertones. That's the other thing. Like we got taught on a makeup course, some people just can't do it. Some people can't see if they're pink skinned, yellow skinned, whatever. I'm clearly yellow. I glow yellow. Like my tan is naturally a yellow tone. It's weird. My skin's yellow. I can say, yeah, I'm warm. Some people, and you can tell, when I wear gold jewelry, my skin looks normal. When I wear silver, it doesn't look right.
Yeah.
And this is how you know if you're a pink or a yellow undertone normally. And if you can wear both, you're normally neutral, which makes your life even harder because no one does neutral shades, but few in MAC, few in Fenty. There's not that many neutral shades.
I'm either really pale if I haven't been away. God help me if I don't get away again this year, I'm going to cry. If I haven't been away, I've literally only came back 2 weeks ago. I'm like, oh, poor me. If I haven't been away, I'm really white, and I'll wear like my foundation is Dior. Capture Total Dior. That has just always worked for my skin. It gives me the best coverage, makes me look really gorgeous, and it doesn't become thick and cloggy, and I don't feel like I'm wearing a mask. Yeah, it's not like double wear.
I hate double wear with a passion.
And I
if
feel
I wanted to bathe in chalk, I would do so. That's what
the weird thing is, obviously Dior is a more expensive brand, but I don't think there should be a price on how your face looks. It's the first thing people see, especially with me, because I'm so loud. They're like, whoa, where's she coming from? Oh, there she is.
Gotta see her.
And I'd rather them see, oh, there she is, that girl with, oh my God, who's that orange person? And my makeup just, I've literally wore it for like 6-7 years. And every time I go in the store, they always say, oh no, that's for older people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thanks guys. It's my favorite one.
Yeah, I honestly, my favorite foundation is Nip and Fab. It's $10.95 at full price, and it's often on their website for £2.50. And I've got other makeup artists obsessed with it too. Every client bloody loves it. They can go out and buy it, and there is a lack of darker shades at the moment. They do, but I mix, so they have a complete white shade. So if you get the darkest, you can make it any tone, and you can mix. They have pink undertones and yellow, which is why I like it. And I mix it with Fenty, so it's like a medium dewy coverage, so it makes everyone glowy and look good. And then if they want full, I literally put 1 squirt of Fenty in, and it slightly mattifies and really is full coverage. And they're like, what have you done? This is amazing. But it doesn't dry their skin out because because Nip and Fab's a skincare brand, they know what they're doing rather than here's a product that's going to sit and make you feel gross all day. You don't even know, once it's set, you don't even know you're wearing it.
Exactly.
We're going to cream contour now. This is the same concealer, but in shade C12. Little bit orangey toned, And we're going to do it really light. It's a tiny bit under the cheekbone, just here. And if you go from the top of the ear and the corner of the mouth and you look at a line, that's where your cheekbone usually is. And I literally just draw a little C to begin with, like that, like a sweep. And if we do it the other side, and again. And then
sorry, I've terribly forgetting the model's name.
Shannon.
Shannon, could you just come a tiny little bit closer just to zoom in on that? Just
you see,
because obviously I'm trying to pick up tips as well.
Turn this light down a second so you can see
it's just above, right? Okay.
And then I'm literally just doing one on each side, and on the jawline, you've got a really good jawline, so don't actually need to contour underneath. But if it's around a jawline, you don't ever want to come under here when you're trans, purely because
I've done that. Why have I done that?
Because you'll end up looking like at some point you've got a 5 o'clock shadow, and that's what you're trying to avoid. So
I just stick to filler. Lots of filler.
If you need it on the very corner here, don't bring it anywhere else. You can bronze down your neck till your heart's content afterwards.
I love a good neck bronze. I love a good neck bronze.
Glittery oil for that extreme bronze glow. It's here actually. This.
Yes.
Lather mark. I'll bathe in it. It's different fab as well. Yeah. And then with that, what brush am I going to use? So, ISO.
We're just going to let everyone know. So while you're joining us today, we've got Laura doing a M to F transformation, feminization to show you the tricks and the trades. Don't forget to subscribe to all of our socials and keep on watching because I am learning a thing or two.
So all I'm doing again is patting that product in. If you want to turn your head back, can you see that blend?
Yeah.
I'll literally push that in and up. So you want to push it into the socket and up towards the temple. And then we'll do the same into the hairline, like up and back. If it goes into your hair, you get a baby wipe and wipe your hair down. It's better than that than have your white ring because you always want to be darker. Let's be honest, nobody wants to look as pale as they actually are. Because I sure as hell don't. I go at least 1 shade darker because I look like a ghost at the moment.
I don't mind looking pale.
I was going to say it was your lighting, but okay.
Yeah, there's just like it's really bad lighting here if I don't have my ring light. Like if I turn this off, oh, that did not sound okay. I'm like orange.
Oh my god, yeah, that was so funny that you literally changed complete colour.
Yeah. So in the daylight, it's the best.
It was like magic. Do that again, Laura. That was like magic. Literally, that was hilarious.
And I'll do it at the end as well. So I do this to clients. I'm like, look at my hair. I'm like, you're not actually that glowy like it is to a ball in real life. You can go out and go like Tin Man, I promise. So I turn it off and I put the blind up. And if it's daylight, obviously they see in natural light how normal they look.
Yeah.
But yeah, my orange filters for this have gone wildly missing. We don't know where they've gone. So I'm having to use pure white ones, which make you look pale.
We've got one of our viewers just explaining how they've given up on foundation and wear BB cream now.
Yeah. I wish my skin was good enough for that, but my skin was perfect through school, lucky me. And then I hit 19 and I got adult acne. So I'm definitely not one of those people who can rock a BB cream.
If I don't have a tan, I can rock a tinted moisturizer, but it has to be a little bit heavy. It can't just be a light tinted moisturizer. And the thing is,
on holiday, my skin clears up within 3 days. I've got the most amazing skin again. I'm like, what has happened? And then I will literally mix my foundation with moisturizer, like body moisturizers, keep my tan, and I'll go out like that. But other than that, it's an absolute solid no from me because I just can't on myself. On clients, like older clients, obviously don't often want a lot of coverage, and that's when I go and use Nip and Fab. Because the smaller amount you can just spread it around the face, it's quite liquidy. I'm going to go grab a bottle now. I'm going to do the base. So we're pink undertone for Shannon, and I'm going to go in with shade 10. I don't know if you can. Let me turn this off. So it's a pink tone compared to
yes.
Compared to my shade, which is shade 20. This is mine, so that's really yellowy, and that's pink. If I whack the light on and it stops going blue, you can see the difference. So that's
yes.
Yeah, so that's my shade. That's 25 and orange. This is pink, and a lot lighter. This is shade 10. If I need to lighten it, I use the white drops.
Right.
If I need to darken it, I've got shade 50, which is currently their darkest, and it's a warm tone. So I've got MAC, I've got Makeup Revolution, I've got Anastasia Beverly Hills Foundation, Fenty, but this is my usual go-to. Unless I want more coverage, I'll just squirt Fenty into it.
And how much is that?
Full price, I think it's $10.95 a bottle, but it's often on offer. It's on I think it's £2.50 on their website at the moment.
Oh wow.
Bargain. Whack it on the back of my hand so it can warm up. Don't really know why I do this, but I always feel like it goes on better if I warm it up first. I do that with every single foundation regardless. I feel like it just goes a bit more fluid and like it breaks down, and then it pats into the skin better.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'll be using this face brush by Peaches and Cream, and their brushes are always on offer as well on Peaches and Cream website. So you can get 4 for £15, I think, or you can get like bundles. They've got money off, so they're always.
We'll try and put all the links for this as well in the description later, just so everyone can kind of reference certain things.
They're so good. Also, if you're wanting a natural glow without having to put actual highlighter on, now's the time to do it. You get a liquid highlight. I personally use Charlotte Tilbury because I like a bougie product, which is Glowgasm, which is this gold bottle here. It's got like a sponge applicator, so I use that on the back of my hand. This is a fingertip. This is where I use a finger. I dab my finger and put it along the cheekbones, nose, and like Cupid's bow. But I'm going to do it after foundation because I want it to be a little bit more glowy. But yeah, if you want a more natural glow from within, do it before foundation. Now it's all like mixed together nicely in the back of my hand, and it will apply better. You can see like it's not as full. And then I'm going to pat this all over. And always do the neck. Just never neglect your neck.
I always tell her this. She'll come in and be like, "How do I look?" And I'm like, "Well, you've got like a line across your neck." And she's like, "Oh, I'll blend it in." And she knows all the time, but I just think she's like, as long as my face is looking good, my neck doesn't care.
Unless you're wearing a roll neck up to here, like full on ninja. Yours is rolled down. Mine comes like here, so I can literally cover my face. I want to. Yeah, you need to do the neck, because even if you have the most perfect, seamless match in the entire world, you want the same coverage level.
Yeah, definitely.
You'll walk outside and get cold, your veins will come to the front, and then you're going to look blue. You need to put coverage there. Like, I always say go down the neck, unless they're literally an outfit that comes up to here. So I'm just literally patting it in everywhere. Some people always start from the nose outwards, but I like full coverage, like of the face, pretty much everywhere. I like an even coverage. There are areas that I'll go back in and add more if I need to. This foundation is good for oily skin, and it's good for dry skin too. So it's like the perfect foundation for clients.
Combination skin.
Yeah, like it's great for everybody. I've never had anyone have issues with it. Obviously, if you're oily, set it with a powder.
And how does it feel, Shannon, on you? How does it feel? Does it feel heavy? Is this your usual way that you do your makeup, or is it feeling actually quite light?
I've tried double wears for quite a while, and I totally agree with you on how heavy they are, and this feels really light.
It feels like you've just had a thick moisturiser put on. I always think whenever I wear this, once it sets as well, you don't really feel it.
This feels lighter than most foundations that I've tried.
And Shannon, if you don't mind, obviously, how long have you been transitioning? Are you where you want to be? Tell us about yourself.
Well, I've been on hormones for about 4 years now. I've been transitioned for about 8 years, and I'm due to go for surgery soon, actually.
All right, okay. Well, that is, you know what? We're just about to do a show in a couple of weeks, all about post-op issues.
Oh, yeah.
We'll definitely make sure Laura gets our link for that, and we can send it to you just if you want some advice. And you know what? Even if you want to come for a chat and give us a call, we just want to let you know that we're also here for you as a sister and a
I
friend.
love that. Thank you. I appreciate that so much.
No problem. I love that it doesn't look too heavy. When I've seen like so much makeup being applied, I always think, God, that's going to be a thick face. But it looks really natural.
Normal. Looks normal. And that's
What we want.
Well, I will say, previously to adding all the rest of the stuff, it didn't look obviously
once it
finished.
gets
You know
all
what I
brought
mean?
together.
And I think that's what scares people. I've had my friend do my makeup before and been like, whoa, what you doing? And then 10 minutes later, I'm like, yes.
I do not let my clients look at their makeup part way through because they freak out. I do the eyes first, especially if they're the first time decided they're going to go bold with colour. I'm like, you are not looking in the mirror until I'm done. When you've got a blue and a pink being blended together, you're going to go, what the hell have I decided? And I'm not going with that. But once it's done, they're like, oh my God, who am I? I'm like, yeah, it's a process, and the process is ugly till it's done. And even if I do live streams of myself, I'm like, what am I doing? And people laughing like, it'll be fine, it's always fun. I'm like, I don't think it's going to be fine. And it is always fine. It's just the way the makeup game is. It used to be easy because you did your base first. It's just not that game anymore.
What would you say, Laura, is your number one thing you must have on or do in the morning? Mine personally is my brows.
I'm really bad at actually wearing makeup. I don't wear makeup. I don't wear makeup for clients because they're coming into my environment, they're coming to my home, and they've got no makeup on. They obviously don't feel comfortable barefaced normally, so I don't wear makeup for my clients.
Oh, so you're conscious of how they feel as well. That's really good.
Yeah. So I don't wear makeup for my clients. Unless I am off out after, which I will know. I'm really sorry I'm going to be wearing makeup. They'll be like, what? But it's expected to be glam. I'm like, no. You're more like to catch me in a onesie with no makeup on. But yeah, I can't live without. I look like an albino. I'm naturally very, very blonde. So mascara and brows are non-existent. I actually look poorly. I am pale. No eyelashes and no eyebrows. My mum calls me Voldemort in the morning. On a regular.
I do like having my brows on if I'm going to go out anywhere.
So it's normally, if I've literally got to go out, it's like mascara and brows. And a lip balm, like I can't stand having dry lips.
Definitely brows and foundation.
Yeah. Foundation used to be my thing, but now I'm like, they can deal with my spotty skin, I don't care.
I rarely wear foundation unless I'm doing some like show or I'm like working. I go makeup free apart from mascara and eyeliner.
Oh, also I do like a bit of, in the summer, I'd rather go without brows, just gel my brows up and wear mascara and just highlight. My skin's always going to me because of my sun worship, which I know is really bad. But I do lay in the garden and tan till my heart is content, so I look the same colour as my fence panels by the end of summer. This is the P. Louise Rumour 2 base, and I'm going to use it just a tiny bit under the eyes for thicker. This is when you're going to feel like you've got makeup on. A thicker conceal under the eyes and down the centre of the face. So we're just going to squirt a little bit. This is a pink undertone anyway. So this is like, they say this is the universal shade. They do lighter shades and darker shades, but Rumour 2 is generally the universal shade. But a tiny bit goes a long way, and it's ultra full coverage. And this is known as the Sculpt brush by Peaches and Cream. So you can see it's long and fluffy. But they use this kind of brush at P. Louise Academy, from which their live streams, to pat the product in. So that's what we're going to do. So whereas you'd normally get a blender or a blender pull from Tatty or something like that, they use brushes, and by doing this, it self-sets. So you don't need anything to set products in. So I will start off with the little areas first. And I do it basically anywhere that I want extra coverage, or like down the center of the face, I always highlight these areas. So I want with like a actual glowy highlight. I always want that base, so there's something for the highlight to like smooth over and cling to. Can you feel how thick that is in comparison?
No.
That's like the thickest product in the world. If you can look up for me. Okay, I know this is the worst bit ever. But also because this is an eyeshadow base, when you do, I don't finish the eyeshadow until the base is done, as in under the eye. Right. Yeah? This is why I use this as a concealer as under eye, because then you can use your eyeshadows and stuff like that.
And concealer.
So this is literally like the thickest product in the world.
I literally put foundation on, sometimes powder, my eyebrows, mascara, a little bit of an eyeliner on the top, and then I put blusher, highlighter, and a bit of contour. Jossie's the actual one for like concealer and stuff.
Neither I have really
it's never been my thing, but
I wear concealer every day, so I don't wear makeup every day, but I wear concealer. I do my eyebrows, and I'll wear mascara, just because I've got dark hair. But
concealer is my life. Like my life. Like I don't sleep. I have insomnia a good 90% of the time, and if I don't,
I just have all the time.
Netflix series. Let's binge watch this till 4 a.m. And then I'm up at 8 and I look like a zombie. And P. Louise face under that eye. Oh yeah, look, perfect. So this is the latest tip from my P. Louise live stalking, watching, whatever. Find it. This is the MAC Studio Fix Powder Plus Foundation. So it comes in one of these. This is when it gets weird. And I thought it was not going to work, so I watched it live on their live and was like, what is that magic? So I went to buy it. It looks like a powder. You see, it looks like a really pale powder.
Yeah.
That's its foundation.
Wow.
Yeah. And it is full coverage. And what they do, they set their base under the eyes, on the forehead and stuff, all down the centre of the face with this, so you get the airbrush look in person. That's how they get the airbrush finish. That's why when Paige, who owns P. Louise, goes on and takes a selfie on her story, looks that damn good. It's this.
Wow.
It's ridiculous. And it comes with, I know, I should get commission from MAC. It comes with a sponge. You can see how clean it is. I've never used it. I go in with a face brush, swirl it around. This is in shade NW20, so that's a neutral warm shade. But it's pale enough that it usually looks fine unless someone is ultra pale, and then I'd go get the NC, which is cool tone. I'm just going to press that under the eyes, and it literally airbrushes everything through your face. So I do lives quite a lot on my get ready with me lives on my Instagram, and this is like the step that I've done recently, and everyone's like, where have your pores gone? I'm like, it's this step, and I'm just going to do it all where you get smile lines, everything, everywhere where we cream highlighted before. Just press this in, and it feels heavy, but you start to ignore it after a while. But it is like,
for everyone watching, if you've got any makeup questions, please comment them in. We will ask Laura, and she will definitely reply and let us know.
And if I don't know the answer, I'll find out for you.
She'll Google it.
Literally, Google. If there isn't an answer, I'll figure it out and come back to you. Give me 2 weeks. Usually what I do. And if I still don't know, I'll ask the community myself. The other thing is, if you're doing photographic work or you're getting married, so you're having your photo taken, always put foundation on your ears. And you will think I'm weird, but if you go outside in the cold or the hot or anything, your ears change temperature. They go bright blooming red. So, and it stands out on camera, and every photographer will thank you for putting makeup on them. If you're even taking a selfie and you're going to go, I'm going to take a selfie outside today, put foundation on your ears. Just remember to take it off later. But yeah, foundation your ears, everyone will thank you. We're now going to powder contour and bronze and warm the face up. And I can find where I put it, the NYX contour and highlight pro palette. Where is my message? Oh, what did somebody put it here? It's because it's black and I can't see it. So this is, you can tell, I've used and abused this for an inch of its life. And yeah, empty pans, all shop. So you can replace these. So I've got 2 empties and 2 almost empties. So I will be replacing those pans because you can just pop them out and replace them. So quite a good buy. I'm going to go in with this shade, which is actually, I want to say shade Sculpt. It's either shade Sculpt or shade Hollow. It's this one anyway, next to the warm tone. And this is where we're going to contour. I'm using an angled face brush by Eco Tools. Literally just little angled one, and that fits into the hollow of your cheek really well. Perfect. So we're just going to press. Again, I'm not sweeping, I'm pressing the product in. And I'm pressing that into the cheekbone, and again, I'm sweeping it upwards. So when you're contouring, it's very minimal.
Yeah.
Natural makeup. If you do it too much, you'll get this dirty streak, and you'll like roll in mud, and you'll end up looking like you're doing heavy drag instead of natural glow. And that's why I did the slightly darker contour underneath already. So you've got that natural glowy base. And then you're just replacing a powder product on top of that, pressing it in and upwards. It's basically like a triangle. And you want to use a cool tone, so something like a blue undertone. So you need to mimic a shadow, basically. So shadows, when you look at them, aren't warm and glowy. They look grey and cold. So you need to look for a brown that's grey and cold to create that shadow as a hollow in the cheek. And then we're just going to do a tiny bit on the jaw, which again, I'm just pressing here. And that's as far as I'm going to do.
You really don't put much on at all, do you, Laura? It's really like you can see the difference.
No, there's no need. You won't be saying that when you see how much bronzer I put on. I'm all about warming the face up with a ton of bronzer. And again, we're pressing this into the high point on the forehead, into the hairline. So basically where you've put it on before. If I was doing it on myself, I have a lot more on. But it's more about softening the face usually, because of the bone structure being different. You've got more prominent bone structure, so you're trying to flatten that out, make it look more airbrush and flattened, so it's more naturally feminine. And if you have too many wrinkles, it makes it more like manly and stuff like that. It's what people's natural eye will go if you've contoured too much. Whereas if you've highlighted, it's softened everything, they won't even look, because light diffuses off it and they don't think about it. So you're tricking the eye. That's what you want to do. It's like illusion makeup, but without boggling yourself doing it. And then we'll do the same the other side.
So we've got one question. Has weird skin foundation makes this person look like a Greg's pasty? Any advice?
I mean, they mean it's flaky.
I like Greg's pasty, so I don't know what they're complaining about.
I tried the vegan steak bake today for the first time and was pleasantly surprised. Do they mean it's flaky like the pastry, or do they mean that it's like they've got scarring and it's got like the hollows like the pastry? That's what I need to know to be able to figure out their skin type, and then I can help them. So if they can reply to that, I can help.
Well, Helen, if you're listening still, which you of course are, let us know. Is it the flaky skin or is it the creators that you're not liking after applying the makeup? I've had that with a few makeup things as well. I remember I used a NARS makeup. I'm not going to pinpoint. She loves NARS. I was like, why? What is this dry, powdery crap I'm putting on my face? And I hated it. But each to their own. Different skin.
My skin loves NARS.
Or NARS is cheap and my foundation's better. Oh, either works.
I mean, I wouldn't ever call NARS cheap.
Yeah.
If it did pro discount, I'd be like, yes, queen, I'm buying that every day. They don't. Not my fan. Don't do pro discount. Not interested. Thank you, Chantal being Mac. Thank you very much. Thank you for supporting us. Yep.
Thank you.
That's great. Like, the more pro discount, the better. So now it's time for my favourite part, which is one of my favourite parts is bronzing. So top tip, TK Maxx is stocking Anastasia Beverly Hills.
Top tip. Great.
This powder bronzer in shade cappuccino. It is orange. This is what I wear. £10. Well, $9.99. Wow. It's supposed to be $30.99 or $32.99. The foundation sticks are also in there for $9.99. So TK Maxx. Go raid it. You need to find out when your delivery day is and huddle over to the makeup at 11 o'clock when they've started putting it out. And then like raid it. They've had Milk makeup in there, which is another good brand. Anastasia. They've had the Ofra and Khloe Kardashian collection highlighters and bronzers in there.
I never knew that.
Yeah. So EcoTools round face brush, normal like powder brush basically, quite dense, and I always pat this on so it has like a flatter kind of, and I tap it off because you're going to get excess. So if you turn your head the other way from me, thank you. And here's your sculptured line under here. You want to place it so your cheekbone's actually here, like where the bone is. You want to start placing it there so it blends upwards. So you want to press it in slightly above where you've just done that contour and blend it upwards to warm that face up. So you need to keep the hollow. So you don't want to warm that hollow up because that's creating your shadow. But you want to warm up slightly above it. So everywhere you'd catch the sun basically. And you can bring this further into the face because you do tan further in on your cheekbones than you would have the hollow on your cheekbones. But if you bring your hollow into the corner of your mouth, you're going to look like you've been on meth for a few years, to put it politely. And if you end up dragging it down, you're going to give yourself jowls. You don't want
jowls. We don't want jowls.
So, and if you are of an older age and want to try contour, scoop your contour upwards to create a more lifted effect. So it will make your face look lifted because it starts to drop with like collagen and elastin. So you want to like create a bit more of a crescent shape with your contour and create that illusion. This will start to warm the face up. And again, you're going to go tap it all across the forehead. And if you need to, swish it around a little bit. Really light hand, like people think you need to basically drag your brush across your face really heavy-handed. Hold it near the end, and it should be like flipping around in your hand. It needs to like tickle the skin when you're swishing, so you're not digging your makeup off. Otherwise, that's how you end up with like gaps in your makeup, and you get the patches and stuff like that. Like tap it in, and if you get like a grain, so you can see it, lightly swirl it till it buffs out. Because the more you dig out it, you're going to end up with those weird gaps. You're making like, why have I got gaps? Why is it patchy? You don't want that. And we're doing the same this side. So we're patting it on first, bring it slightly further in than what we did the contour. It's slightly higher up. And then if you want to sweep it gently. Again, you can bronze the ears, bronze the neck. And after when I'm done, I will turn this ring light off so you can see the proper colour as well. So you can see how bronze Shannon actually is. And again, I'm going to just sweep this on the jawline to warm up. Thanks. I want your nails. I've only just noticed that you've got bright pink nails and I'm jealous. And you can turn your head the other way. We'll do the same here. And we're going to bring it down the neck ever so slightly.
From the entire jawline of the face.
And we're going to warm that neck up, make it look straight on for me. And we're just going to warm up all of that face. And what you don't want to do is end up with that weird halo look where you can see the line of where the bronzer and your concealer are connected. So if you have that, you just grab your foundation brush and you pat it over the top. Like you get rid of the excess off on the back of your hand and then you just pat it.
Oh, we've just had a question as well. Someone's asking, washing makeup brushes, cleaning my tools is the biggest and hardest chore ever. Do you have any tips?
No.
Get used to it, yeah?
Just I have to clean mine after every single day of clients. All of them. All over 100 of them.
But for us, for the people who are only doing makeup on themselves,
if you only use your brush on yourself every 2 weeks, unless they're blood and then wash them more often. Your face brushes will need washing more often. The only other way, if you're doing it on yourself and you want to, and you're not using bright colours but the same colours all the time, buy some of this. Do not drink it. It is alcohol, but not drinkable alcohol. You will die. It's isopropyl alcohol, IPA. 99.9% or 70% above will work. And spray, put it in a spray bottle. Spray your brushes. It kills all the bacteria on it. If you wet them enough, swirl it on the back of some kitchen roll. The product will come off and they're clean.
Right.
But obviously, with the greasy products like foundation brushes, you do need to do a deep clean to get rid of that grease. I do advise a deep clean every 2 weeks, regardless. But if you want to say doing bright eyeshadow and you've got 3 brushes, but you want to do a 5-eye look, spray the coloured brushes on with IPA, whiz it around, you're going to go into your next colour and keep doing that between, so you can keep them clean and going, basically. Which is what you do when you build your kit anyway. But yeah, cleaning brushes. There's a tool in America which we have to import here to get it, and it's called something like, I always get it wrong. It could be, I want to say Lumia, but I feel like I'm wrong. And it's like an egg. Not even joking. It's like a domed egg like this. And it has slots inside for your brushes. You put them face down, you put the cleaner in, put the water in, and it's like a washing machine for your brushes. And it goes,
yes, I want one of them.
And but it does like multiple brushes in one. It does
You
like
put them in the dishwasher.
I'm sure that was like an old thing I used to get told years ago. You can put them in the dishwasher. Do you not recommend that?
Do not recommend.
Well, I haven't got a dishwasher, so I'm all right.
I will tell you why I do not recommend. When you clean brushes, you need to hold them down. When you dry brushes, they need to be held down, right? So, because if you dry them with the brush, they should be drying like this. So if you're drying them on a radiator, on a towel, they need to be drying like this. Dry them like that, the water will go into the glue, dissolve the glue. This bit will get wobbly. All your brushes will start falling apart. No. Dry them.
That's not all of my brushes are broken.
Rinse them out with cool water. Dry them like this, stood up on a radiator. Brush side down.
Wow. Quick toilet break, please carry on, guys. Sorry about this.
We're going on to blusher, guys. So again, I'm actually using a sleek palette, which is really affordable. It's the Blush by 3 in the pink lemonade, and it has 3 shades: icy sugar, macaroon, and pink mint. And you've got these 3 colours. That's a cream, which I personally don't use. Some people love it. I just don't use it. Then you've got, that's quite a cool tone and sparkly. This is quite a warm tone. So we're going to go in with this, with a little bit of this, because that sparkle blends into your highlight and it's all nice and glowy and it all matches. So this is a limited edition brush. Sorry, guys, it was from back.
Blusher has always been something I have been a little bit scared of. Like,
I refuse to do anything on anything.
Too much. I always think blusher, it can make or break your whole makeup look, and if you don't get it right, it's just ruined. In my thing, I struggle to find a good blusher for my skin. Like, as you can see, I am a pale girl. And just trying to get a blusher that is not going to make me look like Aunt Sally sometimes can be really, really hard. And when I do blusher as well, I tend to, I'll start it obviously on the apples of my cheeks, but I go right along my face. So right along the bone line.
I'm going up as well.
Yeah. Oh,
I
do it right. Yay.
So I hated blusher. I mean, I refused to even have it in my kit, and I'd go to people and be like, I don't stop blusher, don't believe me.
No, just do the old-fashioned thing. Pinch your cheeks. There you go. Old school.
And then everybody started to love blusher again. I was like, oh, sorry about my language, but I was literally like, nah, I can't be doing this. And the more I watched it, the more I was like, people don't look as dead anymore. Okay, I'm gonna have to get my blusher out my kit and actually use it. So it came out of the drawer and went into my kit, and I started to use it, and it's made a world of difference. And I'm a blusher fan now, but I'm not one of these who. And MUA Mitchell, if we all know who that is, amazing makeup artist from, I want to say Manchester, please be right. He has been working with Jeffree Star and stuff, controversial now, but MUA Mitchell is amazing. But he does this thing with blusher where he does it so it's like contour, and it's like really dark blush, and he does it on the nose, it looks sunburnt up here, and I'm like, if I did that, I'd look ridiculous. He puts on his models, and they look amazing. I'm like, yeah, no, that's not, I can't pull that off. But it's in my kit and I'm using it, but sparingly. And this brush, can you see? It's got like little longer bits on, and then it's actually really dense. Sorry, so it's really dense. It's like, I don't really dig the brush in. It's only those longer bristles that sweep the product up. So I literally swish it, tap, and then do the apples of the cheeks. I do it quite high as well, so I want to be like up here, and then I sweep it up. And I blend it best I can into bronzer, and it warms the face. And I have started getting this darker shade ever so slightly on the side of the brush, and just putting a tiny bit of pressure up here to warm the face up. But I won't put it on the nose just because I feel like you look a little bit like a Christmas decoration. A little bit, not like Rudolph, but like those, those creepy nutcracker soldiers that you get, and they've got the real, you know. I'm
You
not
don't
doing
want
that. I don't want that. On to the best thing in the world is highlight, which I need.
Oh yes, tell me all about highlight, because it just goes over my head sometimes.
So, my personal favourites.
Oh my god, this palette.
I know this palette. This is the holy grail of palettes. If you like colour.
Oh, I love that palette.
So this is the Stacey Marie Be Perfect Cosmetics Carnival Excel Pro. So it's got the 3 highlights. It's got all your shades. If you want a smaller version of it, where did I put my smaller version of it? Oh, it's over there. The original, the OG Carnival palette was this one. And this one is how I became obsessed with colour. So this was the original. And again, that highlight, that's the bottom of the pan. Like, I've used this palette with an inch of its life. That's where I've been mixing my foundations on. But then I got the big one when this came out. I ordered it. I got it. I'm in love with it. And this highlight is what Shannon's got on her inner corner and on her brow bone. It looks white. It's gold, yellow gold. It's like a white yellow gold. And it is like, if I swatch, let's see. Let's attempt to swatch this highlight. So can we just whack that on here? Turn this light down so it can focus. Can you see that? Like, without my light? I don't know. It's gonna go blue now. Can you see that? It's like really yellowy. The next one down looks really dark. It's not. Next one down, let's find a clean finger. So it comes off like a gold. If I swatch it, it looks really dark, but it's not that dark if you've got tan on. So you can see the difference between the two. And then the bottom one is dark. This one could probably be used as like glittery bronzer. It's like copper. The darker skin tones, it's the one, but it is literally like, I've used it as an eyeshadow. So you can see the difference between the 3. But this one's like, the top one is a yellow gold. And I mix the 2. I mix those 2 together. So Fair Play and Gold Looks on a round little face brush. These are from TK Maxx, Australian brand, but you can get them on Amazon, rip-off versions. So do whichever way you will. And literally, you don't need much because they're pigmented. So
what do you think, though, Laura, on these rip-off products that are coming out when they're just like the rip-off version of this, the rip-off version of Kylie Jenner, etc.? Because we came across false merchandise and the quality, it just isn't there.
Okay. My tea on this is if you're going to a street trader and it says Kylie Cosmetics and it is not Kylie Cosmetics, absolutely damn not. That has glue and all sorts in it. That is dangerous. You should not put on that your face. It could have anything in it. It hasn't been tested by the FDA. It hasn't been tested by our health standards. Do not put those fake products on your face, and definitely do not put your clients at risk. That's that. If you want to, don't bloody sue them, because you're not going to, because they're going to disappear down the road because they're not a reliable source. You can't buy Kylie in any outlet here. You have to buy it from her website direct.
Right.
If, for example, you go into Aldi, and I'm sure we know the case where they are getting in trouble by Charlotte Tilbury for ripping off her famous like contour and highlight duo, where the packaging was identical except it didn't have the CT in the middle, down to every products were the same, formula was the same. It was bloody amazing. The same with their skincare dupes. They're dupes, affordable dupes, they've been tested, they're safe to use on skin. Yes, they're getting sued, but if you can get them before they get sued, that's your prerogative. They're just as good usually. Makeup Revolution, they rip everybody off of all this stuff. Like the concealer I've used today is a dupe of Shape Tape. It's one thing exactly the same. I've used both. I personally actually prefer the Makeup Revolution one, and it saves me about 20 quid. And what other one where I don't like it is Primark's eyeshadow palettes. I don't think they perform very well, and they've ripped off every Urban Decay eyeshadow palette going. They've got one in at the moment called Urban Heat. Urban Decay's is called Urban Decay Naked Heat Palette. Primark's is called Urban Heat. We all know who you're ripping off here. They've got a new one called Cherry Bomb. Urban Decay's palette is called Urban Decay Cherry something, or Black Cherry or something like that. They're chalky. They don't have the same pigment. They're not the same quality. They're not that great. However, the mascara I've used on Shannon is Primark. The mascara I'm wearing is Primark, because that's not ripping anybody off. That isn't their dupe. That's their product. And I found the ones that they formulate themselves because they want to be good at makeup are great. The ones where they're ripping people off, like Anastasia Beverly Hills Moonchild palette, what they've ripped off, isn't great. The Urban Decay ones aren't great. So it's picking the right dupes to go for. But if you've got a low budget, go for them, do the best you can with them, or save up and get a better quality and just have to wait longer.
Absolutely.
So we've dipped in both of those shades, and if you turn your head I'm going to turn this up high so you can see. If you tilt your head towards the camera, so this way, and we're going to place it just so if I go above so you can see, just here on the high of the bone. And the reason I like these is because a little goes a long way. If you turn towards me there, can you see that on camera? I'm going to take you up here a second and see if I can flip my camera around. Is it going to work?
Yes.
I barely touched that face.
Oh wow, that is a really good angle. That is a really good way to look at the makeup as well. I like. You need to get a head cam.
Can you imagine me walking around with one of those GoPros on my head? Like,
yes, I can for our show, absolutely. Because everyone watching, we're actually in talks with Laura about doing more shows like this, potentially pre-recorded. But we're going to try and bring Laura onto the Now That's What I Call channel, of course, for Laura to gain more clients and get her.
If you turn your head ever slightly,
talent out there. But for our audience, it's a big thing. Makeup's huge, and everyone wants to know the best tricks. And we've found a little gem in Laura. We have.
I mean, I try to be a good human being. I was ranting when you guys found me. I was ranting on my Instagram about people not being good people.
That's why we noticed you and we were like, can we have her?
She's opinionated. My thing for the year is, why can't everyone just let people be them? And if it doesn't affect their life, get the hell over it.
Comes down to, doesn't it?
And again, we're doing the high points up here because it flattens any like bone structure. And then we're doing the tip of the nose, like the very tip.
Oh, you look good.
Look how stunning. And then I'm going to pinch that's the mess that I've made during today's tutorial. And then here, so you can see here how the light reflects off and it looks flat. If I do this, you can see that's not. So when you're looking face on, it's fine because the makeup's doing the work. That was the point. So now we're going to go in with the highlight and do it in the same place, just here. And then the light will bounce even more off that and make it look flat. It'll bring that forward.
Wow. And it's quite an instant difference as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, like really instant glow. Like if I move out of the way and I literally just rotate, you can see the glow now. Like,
yeah.
And then I'm going to do the Cupid's bow next, and I literally take my finger for this in Fair Play. And like, can we just?
Oh, wow.
You don't want to do it any higher up here because then you look like you've got sweaty upper lip and nobody wants that. And then we just tickle the chin ever so slightly with a little bit so it gets a natural glow. If you turn your head towards the light, can we see that? And turn back towards me?
Oh, yeah.
That's how we do. That's my favourite bit of makeup though. So highlight is life. We're going to put lashes on because why not?
Why not?
Sorry, Mum, but I'm wiping highlight on my jeans, so he's going to watch. These are not coming to Poland with me, so these can just be highlighted up the top. We pre-chose. I have not tried these yet. This is what's the tea of these lashes? I stock tatty lashes only. These are the only lashes I use on clients. They're the best. Love them. Expensive. My clients get them included. They can wear them up to 20 times. I only use Tatty Lashes, basically. We pre-chose the new collaboration with Pretty Little Thing.
Oh, yes.
These are 3D foam ink lashes in the style Chick Flick. So they're in bright pink, Pretty Little Thing packaging with unicorns on. And yeah, haven't tried this collaboration yet, so it better be damn good.
Packaging.
And no, you get to keep the packaging too, because you get to keep the lashes. So, so what we
Been a good day for Shannon.
know, love a good lash delivery. Oh, that's weird. An instant difference between these and normal Tatty Lashes. This has a plastic film on here. In the normal Tatty Lashes, you pull this out, it has a plastic box on top. Different. Weird. Not sure how I feel about that. They're very soft though. Like,
Yeah. Oh my god.
I don't know if you guys can see the level of fluff on them, like the wisp.
Oh, yeah, they're very fluffy.
Yeah, and the glue I use, because I don't like doing liner, particularly on clients, because everyone's either, I can do it on myself if I really concentrate. The client wants me to liner and literally add 10 minutes onto their appointment time. It is stress, especially if anyone's eyes are slightly hooded, it makes it a lot more difficult. The line, when they'll look at their eyes like semi-closed, but like, well, the line's not straight. I'm like, yeah, when you open, you can see your line. So you've got the choice, you have it straight with your eyes closed, but it'll look well off when you open, or you have it so it looks perfect when you open, but it's going to have like a weird angle at the inner corner, outer corner here. So I use black glue by Duo. Top tip.
Secret top tip.
Also white glue. Have you ever noticed it has that slightly bluey tinge to it? Go stand under a UV light and watch your lash band glow.
Nobody wants that.
Nobody wants it.
It's black all the way. Why it gotta be?
This is Duo in dark tone. You can get it on Amazon Prime, get it on Amazon, get it in Primark, you can get it Sally's. Go grab the dark tone glue. Get a little bit getting used to, because if it's too much, which I usually do use too much, then it goes a little bit everywhere. You see the Q-tip or cotton bud to clean up, or wait for it not to dry and do what I do and pack more eyeshadow over top so you can't see it. Whatever. First things, peel them off. I do not use tweezers. I would not trust myself. I'm slightly dyspraxic, so I'm very clumsy. I don't put tweezers near anybody's eyes when applying false lashes. I do lash extensions where the eyes are firmly shut. The eyes are slightly open with falses. So I'm not going to be like, yeah, let me just wipe these tweezers right near your eye when I'm really not very good at judging distance. Use fingers. You have more control. You can get in the angle right on that band where you need it to be. You can control it more, press them down, squeeze them together, better than you can with tweezers. And there's a certain way that I hold them. We want to start off by getting them out and measuring them. You close your eyes for me. And I measure, I place it right into that inner corner, into the end. And I'm only going to have to cut a slight, like one fluff off the end. And I go in fluffs, like, because they have like little chunks. So one bit of fluff off the end with little scissors, which I had it. I knew I got my scissors out earlier. So little one fluff. See that little gap? Peel it off. One fluff.
Bit of
That's all I need off. Yeah. Then we place the glue on. They're now stuck to my hands. Brilliant.
I love how you just do it with your fingers, like, because I always thought I do put eyelashes on with my fingers, and I've always thought I'm just doing it wrong, but I don't care. It's how I get them on, and I've tried with the tweezers, and she's seen me try, and I just can't get it. So hearing you saying it's perfectly fine to use your fingers, but I'm like, yes.
Yeah, as long as you like, obviously before you've started a makeup treatment, you've already like washed your hands or sprayed them with ISO clean and stuff for clients. So does not matter. Obviously, if you've coughed during the appointment, you ISO clean your hands again or anti-bac them. It's the polite thing to do. It's freaking gross if you don't, and it's hygiene. Yeah. Which I'm sure anybody who's watching who is a makeup artist agrees is really annoying when someone comes self-taught, which their talent is amazing, don't get me wrong, but they've missed the whole hygiene lesson. I didn't pay to go back to college as an adult for 3,800 odd quid for the 1 year. To then
it's like a good boob job, that.
for the next person to come along, I'm self-taught and I'm going to do your makeup for £15. and then they don't clean their brushes, they don't know hygiene, they don't know health and safety, they don't know they need insurance. All these things, like, if I blinded Shannon right now, she can claim on my insurance. I'm not going to blind you. Like,
oh, I'm excited to see these lashes.
I know. So the glue goes on dark grey, and then it starts to turn even darker grey. And when it starts to turn is when you apply. So obviously with white, it starts to go clear, and then you stick them on. So you just look down for me, perfect. And I hold them like with my thumb or my finger on top, depending which way around I want to hold them, and I angle them down. So I tilt my finger up. I pop the middle down onto that band, the outer corner, and then I do the inner corner, and then I squeeze them together.
She loves a good lash.
I do love a good lash.
And I keep pressing them until they dry into place. This band is not as flexible as Patty lashes. It probably needs like cracking like a glow stick a bit first. We'll try that with the other one. I'm going to hold that in a corner. It's not wanting to stick. Once this glue is stuck and dry, it usually doesn't move. This is quite like the super glue of blush glue. I never do my last one.
Use super glue as lash glue.
Or carpet glue, which some drag queens actually use.
Drag queens use carpet glue. I've seen it.
Good old copy decks.
Copy decks. It's crazy.
You open for me?
Uh-huh.
If anything's ever stuck, you don't panic. You just pull the bottom of the eye down, like, hold on a minute, let me get a Q-tip, and be like, gone. No drama. It happens. Like, everyone's eye shape's different. If it starts to ping off, you go back in and press it again. But I always squeeze the lashes together so you get that seamless blend. And because the glue is black, it blends into the lashes. So you get that, it squelches down, which sounds gross, but then you don't need to add liner. So who's winning?
Win-win. Win-win.
Yeah, because
And
eyeliner
then
is...
we're cutting that one whisper because we know we need a one whisper. Goodbye, whisper. Whack on the glue. So you don't need much, but I always put on way too much because it just comes out fast. The one thing I wish they did, they might actually do it that I just don't know of. Don't brush on nail glue. They should do brush on eyelash glue. But I imagine the brush will get gloopy, but it would be great because you wouldn't ever get too much product. So it goes on really light grey, and it'll start to dry down. It'll get darker and darker until it's black. And you're not allowed to blow on them anymore. So people used to blow on your lashes, but hygiene.
I love a good blow.
Don't we all?
We do.
Oh, I forgot I had those candles lit. I was thinking I've got it not dripping everywhere. It's not turning yet. There's always one that don't dry very quick, and I normally get really impatient on prom
Hair
days.
dryer.
My hair dries up there. I'm like, oh, dry. Let's go. Like, I'm the most impatient person when it comes to lash glue drying. Like, before a night out, when you're stressing to be ready. Right. Well, that side applied better. Okay. Interesting.
I love seeing a finished look. It's lovely.
I know. Then we get the lit, and then we spray, and then it's all done. And we do. Oh, we've got to do underneath your bottom lashes too. Just a little copper smoke. I'm also all about the copper at the moment, like copper everything. Cool. Yay! Almost done. Like, get a little pencil brush like this, like a teeny tiny one, so like the size comparison, tiny one. We're going in with, this is the palette we actually used for the eyes today. We used Inspire Oh, that's helpful when it does that. We used Inspire, which is, oh no, is that Fade? Oh no, we used Fade. Pillow Talk, which is the white, just to blend everything upwards. We used Slow Burn, which is the really warm shade, and then we used Splendor, which I applied with a black. And then we went over with MAC Pigment, which is a Copper Reflex. And then I've got this really cool MAC thing that I got the other week, and I've not stopped using it. And it's like liquid glitter, and you literally just paint it on. It's like iridescent sparkles. And it's called like Dazzle something, Liquid Dazzle, something like that. I don't know what it is. But
Dazzle, razzle dazzle.
yeah, so we're going to go in with Splendor, which is that copper shade, and then tap off. There's hardly any part of this palette's the best thing. You look up for me. And then I always do it start in the outer corner. And I'm going to blend all the way along here. Oh no, this is the worst bit, sorry. Nobody likes this part of the eye.
Got lashes on.
I know. But I actually really like metallics on the waterline because it brings a sparkle underneath as well, draws people to your eyes. If you're drawing people to your eyes, they're not really looking anywhere else. Then if you do get fallout, just get the biggest face brush ever, which is like, okay, which is one of these. Like one of these huge face brushes, and just sweep. And if you want to do your base first, because you are a person that likes to do your base first and you haven't set it or anything, you're worried about fallout, you put a ton of powder underneath your eye, like drag queen style, bake it, do your eye makeup, then if you sweep away that bake, the fallout will go away with it. You won't be left with like crap all over your face. That's good. That's another tip. Yeah. And where did I put that? On the bottom. Waterproof.
Shannon, since we're coming close to the end of the tutorial, we would just like to obviously reach out and let you know that you're more than welcome to come on the show and discuss your journey and let everyone know, because everyone's perspectives is valid. So we just like to give you an invitation, open of course. You don't have to take the invitation to come on the show one time and chat about your life and your experiences.
I'd love that. That sounds great. I'll definitely get in touch with you.
Perfect.
No.
This is a waterproof mascara from Rimmel. This is not the brush that it comes with. I don't like the brush it comes with, so I use a NYX brush. Hygiene wise, I literally spray all my brushes of ISO clean and stuff before IPA literally to use it. It's better than using disposables. I'm not about that disposable plastic life, like single use plastic just for a makeup look. I say IPA kills the bacteria, you're fine. Like as long as you're not dunking and you keep spraying, you're fine. You look up for me, and I'm just going to tickle those bottom lashes a little bit, just to get a bit of colour to make them stand out. Your eyes going to water, just tell me, I'll stop.
Yeah. No.
And I use this because people's eyes do water, and it's waterproof, so it don't run everywhere. And I also always use it for weddings because people cry like an absolute baby on their wedding day. Or their bridesmaids are even worse and cry more than they do. Lip colour wise, I'm a big fan of Velvet Teddy. Always have been, always will be from that. And the other shade that I love is Myrrh. And I often use Spice Planet, but I actually don't really lip on this. And then this is a Morphe brush, I think. Yeah, this is just a Morphe lip brush. It's an M416. And this is Velvet Teddy. This is the one that sold out for literally like 6 months when Kylie and Chloe, all that lot, all the Kardashians basically were like, this is the lipstick we all wear. And then nobody could get it for literally like 6 to 8 months in MAC because it was sold out. You're like, thanks guys. But yeah, this is my favourite. These lipsticks and Charlotte Tilbury lipsticks are my favourite formulas. They last so well. If I want to do that over dramatic lined lip, I will. But you always have that slight tendency, even as like a cis woman, if you overline a lip, to look a bit like that character from Shrek, who's the barmaid. I love a lip liner at the moment, but when you look at the new fashion is to have it much darker, but like the 90s trend. And if you're trying to just blend in and get by, you don't want to draw any more attention to yourself. which is that trend, basically drawing attention to yourself. So I just go in with like a soft nude. This is like a in between a pink and a brown, and it looks good on most people. Which is why I love it, and it tastes nice. You know, when I eat it. It does look like vanilla. Also, if you have dry lips, get yourself a Lush and get the Lush lip scrubs, because in winter, lip scrub and then put on a really thick lip balm before bed, you'll wake up and you've got like new lips. Vaseline does not count as a lip balm. It does not soak in. It is a jelly. It sits on your lips and does nothing. It's an absolute bad. It's not a thing.
Oh, God, so much.
Yeah, people literally buy the tubs of petroleum jelly and think this is going to be the best thing. No, it's why we use it on tattoos to waterproof.
Vaseline's good for one thing, guys. Let's not play games.
My favourite lip balm is by Natio. I think it's pronounced like Natio. It's bloody expensive for a tube, but it does last ages. And it's really thick and weird when you like squeeze the tube. But it's all natural products in it. Vegans won't like it, so I think it has bee products in it, but other than that, it's like completely natural and great, full of oil and stuff. And if I put it on before bed, by morning my lips are like brand new. And nothing affects them if I do that. I can wear like the mattest liquid lipstick in the world and it wouldn't even bother. Oh my God, you're the best. Like, have you had filler?
No.
And now I'm pissed off. Like, no filler in the lips, perfect lip shape, like, yeah, great, thanks.
I love filler everywhere.
I have not had any because I just don't. If I'm applying, like, if I had it in my lips, I don't even like applying to clients after the lips done because you can feel it. I do it because I obviously need to, but you can feel it and it kind of freaks me out a little bit. I mean, I'm like, oh, my best friends have had it done. I'm like, yeah, you go get that done and I'll see you after you've done it because I can't let you get that. Now we're going to set your face, and I wish I could find what I was looking for this. So, two options here. If you are going out all night partying, this is what you want. And nobody else, I think, recommends this but me. This is the Kryolan Fixing Spray. It is basically transfer proof and water resistant. It's how I set body paint for competitions and stuff. You spray this, they can walk around, go through everything, it's fine. Right? This. So your face does not move. After it can rain on you a lot, nothing's moving with this. But it does feel like back in the day when you sprayed hairspray on your face, you get that tightening feel. Which is then where I always go in with either Fix Plus or the Nip and Fab Hydrate Dragon's Blood Mist or Essence or whatever they call it. Because that's really hydrating. So I'll put this on first. Then if you have dry skin, this. If you just have dry skin, Urban Decay. Which one is it? Where is it? The classic Urban Decay All Nighter will do the trick for you. But we're going to go full effect. Your hair will even feel like you've had hairspray on. It's that strong. So it stinks as well. It's really strong smelling. So I have to get you to breathe in and close your eyes. Yeah. So take a deep breath. And breathe out. Because that is strong. It smells like, yeah, it smells like hairspray. And then this one smells nice. So this one, can you feel it tightening? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you feel like you had a facelift once you put that setting spray on because it's not moving. It's set that face like solid. This one is liquid, so it will like hydrate. If you close and breathe in for me. And if you ever get the wet, dewy look like we've got here, you can literally get a sponge or a brush and pass it away. Like that one's nice. I'll just do this. Press it all in. And that skin will stay hydrated through that. So I'm going to take this and turn it onto my good camera.
Yay!
So it will load eventually, hopefully. Here we go. If you close for me, so you can see that sparkle.
I love that.
And then if I turn off this light, well, if I wank this light really high, you can see like what it's like. If I turn it off, this is just a normal, warm, crappy energy safe bulb in this one. But you can see in real lighting, it's warm, it blends down the neck. The glow is still there.
You look gorgeous, Shannon.
Oh, thank you.
Do you want to see yourself now?
Yeah, go for it.
I will find
Big
it.
reveal. Are we ready? Drum roll.
Yeah, we're ready.
I'm loving the copper.
I know, the copper's
Yeah.
so good. It's my favourite.
I love that.
So come on then, Shannon. Would you recommend Laura?
Oh, definitely. She's lovely.
Thanks. I'm saying, like, thank you very much. I try to be nice to everybody. I get mad when people aren't nice to other people.
Well, Laura, I have learned so many different tricks, and we are hoping that the invite for you to come back soon, you will take us up on. How have you found the show?
Yeah, it's
Love that.
been so nice.
Uh-huh.
And it's before Love Island. We've done good.
Right.
I was like, it might run over. Good job, Love Island's on record. But yeah, I'm happy to do it. I'm gonna try and aim to do pre-records for you guys. And do it like once a month to begin with, just because.
And we'll create like a little mini series within this, so everyone knows where to go.
And like, I'll either do them by Instagram story, so I'll send you like each clip and you save them and stuff, and they'll go on story on like Instagram and Facebook and stuff. Or if I've got the editing, sometimes I enjoy editing, other times I can't stand it. If I can be bothered to edit, basically, guys, is what I'm saying, is I will do a full tutorial film and edit it and then send it through some miraculous way of sending that bigger file to you guys, probably through Dropbox, I guess, will probably let us.
Yeah, Dropbox.
Yeah. Or I will literally ask you for login details uploaded at the IGTV for you.
That would work. But we just want to thank you for joining us, Shannon, for coming along and allowing us to show the transformation for feminization with Laura. But thank you very much for joining us, guys. And big guys. We'll speak to you soon. Yeah. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks, guys, for joining us today. I have been Faye.
And I've been Jossie.
And I am hungry.
Me too.
So chomp, chomp, chomp. See you later, guys.
Bye.
We will be back next week and we will be announcing our guests, I believe, on Friday.
Yeah, around then.
Around Friday. So we'll see you all then. And don't forget to subscribe to YouTube, like our Instagram, and follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thanks so much, guys. See you later.
Bye.